Some mad scientist in this world decided to finger an old ruin, unaware that it can ruin the hell out of them. The man really thought he was some legendary explorer, but he was out there poking cursed stones like a bored idiot in the White House, pressing random buttons, unaware that he might nuke the world. As a result, a red giant monster appeared out of the mist, as if someone from Earth has hit on his girl, and it was not just one. They're like 100 of them, stomping in like an angry gym squad that just caught you voting for Jake Paul instead of Mike Tyson. And in front of them stood this ugly loser Jan, who has decided to risk his miserable ass because no girl on Earth was ready to let him test the springs anyways. So what's the use of life without getting to spank the baddies? Bro really said if romance is dead then so am I, might as well die dramatically. Somehow he thinks charging at 100 rage monsters will upgrade his life. This is the level of delusion we are dealing with. The story begins in a ruined city, the kind of place that looks like the world rage quit overnight. An archaeological dig messes with an ancient seal, because of course it does, and the result is a blood-colored mist that spreads everywhere like a bad idea with legs. Humans caught in it lose their minds and die violently, while animals and other creatures roll the worst lottery ever and turn into terrifying aberrations with strange powers. Civilization collapses fast, and terror spreads even faster. In the middle of all this chaos, one guy named Yan Hao stands alone, which is already a red flag. Cities fall wherever the aberrations go, and then the military shows up with helicopters and decides the best solution is a bomb. A massive explosion hits the ground, smoke fills the air, and when it clears, Yan is still standing there like he missed the memo about dying. Monsters surround him, his hand already twisted into a beast-like claw, which really ruins the whole normal guy aesthetic. He pushes forward like a wild animal, tearing through the aberrations one by one. After the dust settles, he finds a small doll on the ground, and suddenly the unstoppable monster slayer energy cracks. Panic takes over as he realizes his sister Zhao Shui is gone. The story rewinds 3 days earlier, back when the city is boring and alive. A radio calmly warns people about a red fog and politely asks everyone not to panic, which never works. The guy sits half asleep in a car with his family, stuck in traffic like every disaster movie ever. Soldiers rush around, people argue, and the mood is already bad. His little sister feels scared, and he tries to stay calm, even while staring at the red mist outside and wondering why it looks like the sky is bleeding. Then everything goes wrong at once when an explosion hits nearby traffic and flips the world into nightmare mode. Cars wreck, people scream, and a monster appears, instantly answering the question nobody wanted answered. Chaos explodes across the streets as people run for their lives. The guy tries to help his parents when the car is damaged, but things are falling apart too fast. His parents are trapped and make the hardest call possible, forcing him to take Xiaoshu and run. Responsibility drops on him like a truck, emotionally and very literally. Another explosion hits, and his parents die in front of him. He grabs his sister and runs as the city turns into a hunting ground. Monsters roam everywhere, and even animals are not safe anymore. Humans, animals, everything is going insane. He hides with Shoshu, barely avoiding detection, but the red mist is not done yet. Shoshu starts feeling pain, and the panic level jumps again. He notices something is wrong with himself too, when he sees red veins spreading across his face in a mirror. The realization hits hard that the mist is changing them. He tries to protect his sister the best way he can, covering her face and staying close, even as his own body feels like it is burning from the inside. Something inside him is pushing to break free, and it is not asking permission. That is when the monsters find them. He grabs Xiaoshu and rushes into a supermarket, hoping for safety, which is hilarious. There is already a monster inside, because safe places do not exist anymore. Another aberration drops in from above, because the universe enjoys being dramatic. Trapped between monsters, with his body mutating and the world ending around him, the guy faces the worst question possible. If this is the end, Jan snaps into action and forces his sister back inside the supermarket, fully aware that the outside world is currently a monster buffet with humans listed as the main course. He grabs a metal rod from the ground, which feels heroic for about half a second before reality reminds him that improvised weapons rarely survive first contact. He charges the monster anyway, because fear clearly took the day off. The creature bites down and snaps the rod like a toothpick, then lunges straight at him. He barely manages to pin it against a supermarket shelf. Out of nowhere, an arrow pierces the monster's eye, and Jan realizes his sister is helping, which is both impressive and absolutely terrifying. The monster immediately switches targets, because of course it does, and rushes toward her with murder in its plans. Jan yells for her to run, while coughing up blood at the worst possible moment, because his body clearly enjoys dramatic timing. His sister trips and falls, which is basically rule number 1 of danger situations, and the monster closes in fast, Something inside Yan snaps, and he launches himself off the wall and crashes down on the monster like gravity. Personally chose violence. He grabs the broken metal rod again and starts stabbing over and over, fully losing himself to rage. The hits keep coming, until it stops looking like survival and starts looking like therapy gone wrong. His sister watches in pure horror as he spirals, clearly wondering when her brother picked up this many unresolved issues. However, the memories of their parents finally drag Yan back to reality. His breathing steadies, and the monster finally stays down. Yan apologizes, clearly shaken by how far he just went, and she checks him like someone inspecting a cracked plate, hoping it still works. There is no time to recover, because another monster crashes through the window like it paid for the glass already. Instinct kicks in again, but this time with control. Yan pulls his sister out of the way and strikes hard, slamming the creature so forcefully that it flies back outside, which honestly feels like an upgrade from his earlier technique. Knowing they cannot both survive another round together, Yan tells his sister to hide while he lures the monsters away. She hesitates, worried he will lose control again, which is fair considering what she just witnessed. He promises to come back safe, confident in a way that feels half brave and half dangerously optimistic. She clings to that promise as he steps back into the ruined streets alone. Outside, monsters roam freely and something inside him shifts again, but this time it feels different. He realizes that fighting and absorbing the strange blood-colored energy left behind by the aberrations is making him stronger. He faces a giant monster and convinces himself that taking it down will give him enough power to protect what little family he has left. When the creature ignores him, he takes it personally and decides violence is the correct way to earn attention. He charges in, cutting down aberrations one after another, moving faster and hitting harder than before. Power floods through his body, and for a brief moment, he actually enjoys it, which is never a good sign. The strength feels intoxicating, and before things can get worse, military planes roar overhead, and the monsters retreat, suddenly uninterested in continuing the fight. Confusion sets in, as Yan's sister emerges from hiding, but explosions shake the area, and soldiers rush in. Mistaking Yan for an infected threat, they grab his sister and evacuate, leaving him behind like an abandoned side quest. Yan drifts through a familiar nightmare where flames eat everything in sight, and his sister burns while asking why he never came to save her. He jolts awake, irritated that his brain is replaying this horror again. Half a year has passed since that day, and the world is still broken, his sister still missing, and answers still nowhere to be found. At least he knows one thing for sure, that he was not fully exposed back then, otherwise this story would have ended. After Xiaoshu was taken by the military, he searched every shelter, every refugee zone, only to find nothing. With no other options left, he joined the Border Patrol, the lowest-ranking unit in the army, where expectations are low and survival skills matter more than pride. In a world this chaotic, the army is the only group with real clearance, real intel, and the freedom to move between ruins, so becoming a disposable soldier is still better than doing nothing. At the Chishi City border outpost, the patrol captain, Jia Jun, stands around like a walking headache, while Yan rushes in late for his shift, once again proving that punctuality did not survive the apocalypse. The other officers are already irritated, and Jia makes it clear that patience is not one of his post-disaster personality traits. Yan takes the scolding without complaint, and the mood lightens slightly when news spreads that the higher-ups are arriving, meaning the patrol team might finally get a break. Jia makes it very clear that mistakes will not be tolerated. Later, Yan scans the horizon, unease crawling up his spine. The Special Response Unit is supposedly holding the front line, and Jia treats this mission like a formality, assuming elite soldiers will solve everything. The officers chat, praising the unit's combat record, convinced nothing could possibly go wrong, which is usually the exact moment something goes very wrong. The smell of the crimson fog drifts in, and Yan feels his stomach turn. The scent still triggers something deep and ugly, because the fog does not just mutate bodies, it drags out bloodlust and turns creatures against each other. Then the fog begins to move as if something massive is forcing its way through. Panic erupts when the fog surges toward the outpost. Reports come in fast, and the realization hits that the Special Response Unit is retreating, which is the last thing anyone wants to hear. Chiji finally orders a fallback, but it is already too late. Aberrations pour in, and fear spreads through the ranks like wildfire. As soldiers scatter, Yan leaps from a building straight into the chaos, landing hard and immediately taking down a monster. Instinct takes over as he cuts through aberrations one after another, absorbing their blood-colored energy. He feels his strength rising with each kill, and a dangerous curiosity creeps in as he wonders what would happen if he absorbed even more. Numbers blur together as the bodies fall, and his confidence grows faster than his common sense. Just as things spiral further, another fighter enters the battlefield and wipes out a monster from behind him. Yan turns to see Song Rui, the captain of the Blazing Blood Detachment, standing calm and lethal, backed by her elite squad. Reality slams back into place as he is surrounded by professionals, and his mutated claw is still visible, which is not ideal for first impressions. Song issues a cold command to clean up the area, and her squad moves with terrifying efficiency. Yan raises his hands, trying to look harmless despite the fact that he absolutely is not. Before things escalate further, a monster behind him is eliminated in a flash of gunfire. Song steps closer, eyes sharp, clearly questioning why a patrolman is standing there without a weapon. Alive, and at that moment, Yan realizes he is screwed. All units receive the withdrawal order, and the outpost empties fast. The temporary defensive line becomes the new safe zone, and entry turns into an exclusive club that only Officer Song approves. Casualty numbers roll in, and they are ugly. Yan ends up tied to a chair, patience thinner than instant noodles. From his point of view, this feels wildly unfair. Officer Song calmly lays out the timeline, pointing out how the disaster kicks off not long after Yan returns to his post, which is the kind of coincidence investigators love and suspects hate. Yan's brain goes into emergency mode, desperately trying to assemble a believable story from spare parts and good intentions. He plays the familiar card of being a chronic latecomer, leaning hard into his established reputation as the patrol team's least reliable clockwatcher. Song comments on how dysfunctional the patrol team appears, which lands like a polite insult wrapped in authority. Song returns her attention to Yan, noting that he barely passed basic training a few months ago, yet somehow walks away from a fight that kills trained elites. Yan leans into panic as a personality trait, framing himself as someone who survives by running first and thinking later. He highlights his athletic background, because nothing explains survival like cardio. Song pushes further, questioning why someone so afraid of death would join the army in the first place, clearly sensing there is more buried underneath. Inside Yan's head, the real story plays out. For 6 months, he hunts aberrations alone, absorbs their energy, and learns to control the shift between human and beast. He avoids people, and searches endlessly through ruins and settlements for any trace of his sister. He survives like a lone animal, not a soldier, and the habit sticks. Song does not buy the innocent act. She labels him a coward, accuses him of abandoning his post, and reminds him that withholding information carries consequences that usually end badly. Yan wonders if this is the moment everything collapses. Her attention drifts to his hands, lingering just long enough to confirm she noticed more than she lets on. The lies stop being useful, but the truth feels even more dangerous. Before the interrogation can tighten further, the ground begins to shake. Yan recognizes the sensation instantly, the same feeling that comes right before everything goes wrong. He reacts on instinct, trying to warn them, which immediately looks like an escape attempt. Song shuts that down fast, slamming him to the ground in a reminder that authority still works even underground. Then the floor gives way completely, dropping everyone into darkness and confusion. Someone wonders if they fell into something beneath the outpost. Yan recognizes it instantly as aberration work, because monsters apparently enjoy underground renovation projects. Tension spikes as everyone checks weapons and forms up, professionalism snapping back into place despite the circumstances. A faint breeze moves through the tunnels, hinting at an exit. Yan picks up on it first, earning a sarcastic compliment for his talent at escaping bad situations. Before anyone can celebrate, a monster crawls into view, spraying corrosive fluid on them. Song issues rapid orders, keeping everyone focused and alive. She warns Yan not to act without orders, making it clear that his explanation is still pending. Yan realizes she knows far more than she admits, and the way she waits instead of accusing makes him uneasy. Then more monsters pour in, surrounding the group from all sides, and the maze turns into a trap, cutting off easy answers and forcing everyone to fight together. Song charges forward without hesitation, swinging her weapon into the swarm as if fear is an optional feature. The rest of the squad follows her lead, tightening formation, while Yan lags half a step behind and glances back, instinct screaming that something feels off. Song instructs everyone to keep moving and stop hesitating, because standing still in a monster tunnel is how people end up as cautionary tales. Yan notices the sudden quiet behind them. The insect swarm has stopped advancing, which never happens unless something bigger is nearby. He looks ahead and spots it, a massive tyrant-class aberration looming in the tunnel, calmly absorbing the red mist around it like a battery plugged into the apocalypse. Yan immediately realizes how bad this is, because the creature is not just feeding, it is converting the mist directly into power, which is basically cheating. He warns everyone to stay sharp, but Song already moves, launching a complete force attack straight at the monster. The impact lands, but the tyrant reacts instantly, counterattacking with overwhelming force. Yan dives in at the last second, plushing Song out of the way and blocking the blow with his mutated claw. The shockwave rattles the tunnel, and the truth finally becomes impossible to ignore. Yan promises that if they survive this mess, he will explain everything properly. Song realizes that even her strongest attacks barely slowed the tyrant, while Yan somehow stands his ground. She warns him to stay alive, which might be encouragement or an order. Yan grins, appearing right before something reckless happens, and steps forward to face the monster head-on. He runs through the mental ranking system he learned the hard way, from Scout class all the way up to Calamity class, placing this thing firmly in the Tyrant category. The Tyrant releases a roar, and Yan's fading awareness drifts towards Song, who stands with a weapon raised. She refuses to let him fall here, partly because she needs Yan alive, and partly because Yan still owes far too many explanations. The monster produces a sound that can only be described as laughter, which immediately sends everyone's survival instincts into overdrive. Song realizes the red mist begins surging violently through the cave, flowing in from every direction like blood through veins. The interconnected tunnels act as a massive transport system, feeding mist from distant areas straight into the tyrant. The creature uses this stolen energy to heal itself. That earlier red mist eruption at the outpost suddenly makes sense, because this monster has been pulling the strings the whole time, literally refueling itself. Retreat becomes the logical option as Song recognizes that killing this thing outright is almost impossible under normal conditions, and signals that falling back might be the only way to survive. Yan, however, understands something crucial that no one else does, which is that the same red mist replenishing the tyrant is also stabilizing him. Now that the tyrant is locked in place and cannot rampage freely, this moment becomes their best and possibly only chance. Yan accepts the risk without hesitation. After wandering near death so many times, one more visit barely registers as special. Song realizes that arguing will waste precious seconds, so she commits fully to a single all-or-nothing plan. She prepares to unleash everything she has into one focused strike aimed at breaking the tyrant's head armor, knowing that only a direct attack on its brain can end this. After that, Song launches her attack, pouring raw power into a devastating blow that shatters the monster's armored head. Yan moves at the same instant, sprinting forward with feral speed and leaping onto the tyrant's body. He drives the final strike home with everything he has left, aiming straight for the exposed core. The tunnel erupts in a violent explosion that throws Yan clear across the cavern. Song rushes toward Yan and notices a small photo among his belongings, a quiet reminder that he is still just someone searching for family. Yan's awareness drifts into a strange inner space. He feels disconnected from his body, watching himself from afar, unable to move or speak. The sensation feels less like hell and more like standing at the edge of himself. Something glows nearby, like living DNA. Slowly, Yan senses a presence inside his chest. The core he destroyed did not vanish, it transferred. That energy body now resides within him, actively absorbing red mist on its own. Unlike before, the energy does not overwhelm him or push him toward madness. Instead, it stabilizes everything, acting like a regulator. Even if he absorbs too much mist and risks losing control, this crystal-like core will reclaim the excess and restore his sanity. It becomes clear that this is the key to evolving without fear, allowing him to grow stronger without counting every kill or worrying about crossing the point of no return. There is one problem, though, and it arrives quickly. The newly formed crystal has limited storage, and the sheer amount of red mist it absorbed from the tyrant pushes it close to bursting. Yan realizes he needs to manage the flow carefully, guiding the energy instead of letting it spiral out of control. The tyrant's massive reserves nearly overload the system, forcing him to adapt immediately or risk exploding from the inside, which would be an extremely inconvenient way to end things. Sometime later, Yan wakes up in a hospital. He instinctively tries to control the red mist within him, testing his new balance. Song steps into the room at the worst possible moment. Just as the energy surges again, Yan reacts on instinct, urgently warning her away, and a sudden explosion rocks the area. 5 minutes earlier, Lin's injuries are severe, and Song makes it clear that this is a risk every soldier accepts the moment they put on the uniform, and guilt is a luxury no one can afford anymore. Lin is not satisfied, as his curiosity locks onto Yan, because experimental subjects are not exactly common knowledge, even among elites. Song shuts that line of thinking down fast, labeling Yan's case as top-level classified and redirecting Lin toward recovery instead of conspiracy theories. She even arranges for Lin's transfer to logistics at headquarters, a quiet post where rest replaces combat. Lin does not fully accept that answer and hints at reporting everything to Song's father, the chief of staff, trusting higher authority to judge the truth. Song responds decisively, freezing his communication privileges on the spot and reminding him that orders still matter. Once that fire is contained, Song immediately asks about Yan's location and heads straight for Ward 314. Inside the ward, Yan is already doing something questionable, and before anyone can stop it, a violent explosion tears through the area. Nearby abandoned buildings are pierced clean through, turning structural damage into modern art. The scale of destruction is impossible to ignore, and the uncomfortable question surfaces again: how long this secret can realistically stay buried? Song herself recognizes the attack pattern instantly, realizing Yan just reproduced an aberration's ability without even relying on visible beast armor. That realization raises far more questions than answers, and her patience officially runs out. Later on the hospital rooftop, the truth finally comes into the open. Yan explains that he can absorb aberration cores, learn their abilities, and store crimson fog inside a crystal-like structure within his body. That crystal even repairs itself, which sounds impressive, until one remembers how catastrophically unstable everything else in this world tends to be. Song remarks that he comes with an alarming number of features, like a weapon that forgot to ship with an off switch. Yan admits the cost of this power weighs heavily on him. He has gained strength and abilities beyond normal humans, but that same power slowly pushes him closer to becoming something else entirely. The question eats at him, whether someone like him can still be considered human. Song answers, defining him not by biology but by choice. His power is both disaster and weapon, and what he becomes depends entirely on how he uses it. She lays out his options. One path leads to joining Blazing Blood as a reserve soldier under her command. The other path ends with him classified as a threat and eliminated like any other aberration. Joining her squad comes with benefits, status, resources, and access to intelligence that no lone wolf could ever touch. Song promises to shield him from trouble as long as he stays under her banner. Yan recognizes that such generosity comes with strings attached. She admits she needs him for her own reasons but insists they are not enemies. Then she reveals her strongest card, a photo of Yan and his sister. She makes it clear that digging into his past was effortless, and that joining Blazing Blood means gaining access to the highest intelligence networks available. With those resources, finding his sister becomes far more than blind hope. Yan believes searching alone has limits, and higher rank means wider access and freedom to move. He agrees, though not without negotiating a better salary, because even the apocalypse does not excuse unpaid overtime. Song approves him immediately, ordering him to handle the transfer paperwork without delay. Watching him leave, Song quietly believes that Yan may hold the key to something far bigger, the possibility of turning aberrations back into humans, and even saving her uncle. At the Chishi City Patrol Team garrison building, Yan runs into an officer who is also being transferred to the Special Response Unit, and the guy is way too cheerful about it, clearly convinced that destiny has paired him with Yan as future brothers in arms. The guy is ready to move on, while Yan internally struggles to remember the officer's name, because remembering names has never been his strongest combat skill. Before the friendly bonding can go any further, attention shifts when a familiar figure appears. Captain Jia shows up, alive but clearly not living his best life, surrounded by members of the Chishi City defense team. Their captain Zhang Shi wastes no time reopening old grudges, dragging up past humiliation and throwing insults like he is paid per syllable. The situation quickly turns ugly when Zhang escalates from trash talk to physical threats, treating dignity like an optional feature. The atmosphere gets heavier when Jai is forced into submission, humiliated in front of everyone, all to beg for something as basic as a pension for his fallen squad member. Right on cue, Yan steps in, casually but firmly blocking Jai from going any lower, because apparently kneeling is where he draws the line. Yan takes responsibility for the moment without hesitation, openly declaring that anyone who touches Jai is going to regret it in a very hands-on and medically expensive way. The defense team members rush in with confidence that lasts approximately 4 seconds, which turns out to be the exact amount of time Yan needs to dismantle them one by one. The speed is ridiculous, the efficiency unfair, and Zhang's confidence visibly collapses in real time. Someone tries to hype Zhang up by reminding everyone that he is an E-rank warrior, which somehow makes things worse instead of better. Zhang pulls a gun thinking modern weapons might balance things out, but Yan treats the threat like a bad joke, disarming him and crushing the weapon with his bare hand. The comparison to Song's speed lands hard, and Zhang's pride takes another critical hit. A knife appears, because bad decisions love company, but Yan shuts that down too, lifting Zhang by the throat and reminding him of his earlier threats. Moments later, Zhang is on the ground, defeated both physically and emotionally, while others stare in shock at the fact that someone just dodged bullets and shattered military equipment like it was cheap plastic. Terror spreads fast, and whispers of monster start floating around, which is the universal signal for everyone to suddenly remember they left the stove on at home. The defense team retreats, dignity completely abandoned, leaving behind silence, dust, and a very embarrassed captain. The other officer openly admires Yan like he just witnessed a legendary boss fight. Yan checks on him because despite everything, he is still polite. Jia, clearly moved, expresses gratitude, but Yan brushes it off easily, pointing out that standing up for someone who once protected him is the most natural thing in the world. Any remaining worry about retaliation fades when it becomes clear that Yan and the officer are now officially tied to the Special Response Unit, a status that conveniently makes the city defense team think twice before starting round 2. Later, at the Special Response Unit's temporary base in Chishi City, things finally return to the transfer paperwork, moving fast, and headquarters approves Yan's application for assessment without delay. However, celebration is short-lived, because approval does not mean acceptance. The real test still waits ahead, and Yan is ordered to depart immediately for headquarters in Hucheng to participate in the Blazing Blood Combat Division assessment. The expectation is clear, the challenge real, and the pressure high. Yan takes it in stride, confident, and already aiming higher than just passing. Records exist for a reason, and he fully intends to rewrite one soon. In Hucheng, military vehicles roll through the streets like they own the place, because honestly, they do. Song uses the moment to flex some local knowledge and remind Yan that Blazing Blood headquarters is right here. Yan, being curious, wonders how the Blazing Blood ranks even work. That confusion quickly clears up when it becomes obvious that not everyone joins to punch monsters in the face. Some people sign up for logistics. However, logistics still fight alongside combat units, meaning they are basically combat units with worse marketing. With time to kill, Song switches to lecturer mode and explains how the world works for warriors. Anyone who can use special abilities falls under the broad label of warrior, which already sounds cool enough to sell action figures. Combat power is divided into 6 ranks, from E at the bottom all the way up to S at the top, where legends live and property damage is guaranteed. On the enemy side, aberrations come in 5 neat nightmare flavors, starting with Scout class and climbing all the way to Calamity class, which is basically the universe asking humanity to apologize. Under normal conditions, the ranking math is simple and brutal. An E-rank warrior can handle a Scout class aberration. D-rank matches Hound class. B and C-rank warriors fight Overlord class. A rank goes toe-to-toe with Behemoth class, and S-rank warriors exist solely to stop Calamity class disasters from deleting cities off the map. On top of that, there is Beast Core Affinity, which is the real gatekeeper of destiny. Song explains that only aberrations born from the Crimson Fog have special abilities, and humans have to borrow that power the hard way. Warriors awaken abilities by attuning to aberration beast cores through beast core armament, which seems scientific but is basically magical compatibility. Physical condition, talent, and pure dumb luck all affect affinity, and if someone cannot attune at all, they are stuck at E rank forever, no matter how many push-ups they do. Just as things settle, the group runs into an officer blocking the road. Blazing Blood does not like being told no, but the officer stands firm, claiming official business. Song quickly realizes something feels off, especially when the Green Vine group is somehow involved, which is never a good sign unless you enjoy political messes. An hour later, the Blazing Blood entry assessment begins. Lin Yongxin, the A-rank head examiner, lays down the law with 0 patience and maximum authority. The first test is physical assessment, and Yan proceeds to absolutely disrespect the testing equipment. He completes a 50-kilogram weighted 100-meter dash in a time that makes professional athletes rethink their life choices. He casually lifts a 500-kilogram electromagnetic dumbbell with one hand, because apparently gravity is optional now. Then he hits the striking power test so hard that the machine breaks, giving up on life before it can even calculate his score. 10 minutes later, the results confirm what everyone already knows. Yan scores an absurd 198 points, shattering the rookie record like it never mattered. A guy named Zhang Jin, riding on his big brother's reputation from the Chishi City defense team, does not take this well. He masks his resentment with fake friendliness, which fools exactly no one, and quietly promises revenge like a villain who has not read the room. Lin Yongxin gives Yan a quiet warning about Zhang Jin's background, but Yan is unimpressed. In his mind, the entire Chishi City defense team is rotten, and one more spoiled heir does not change the math. The rankings are announced, and Yan takes first place without debate. Jin Ying, a senior researcher who claims she only joined for fun, immediately locks onto Yan like a scientist spotting a rare specimen. The top 15 advance to the next test, Beast Core Affinity, and just like that, the real trial is about to begin. Zhang Jin sits alone in a single dorm room. In his mind, first place already belongs to him, and the only reason it slipped away is because 2 unreasonable monsters showed up out of nowhere and ruined the script. A stern figure appears on a screen and delivers a verbal slap, reminding Zhang that without his brother groveling for the Green Vine group, he probably would not even qualify for the assessment. There is a cold warning that this is his one and only chance. Zhang swears that for his brother's sake, he must enter Blazing Blood, no matter what. The scene changes to the Beast Core testing station, where Lin Yongxin explains the rules with ruthless efficiency. The test is simple in method, but cruel in outcome. A wrist guard goes on, a Beast Core is placed inside, and the system measures affinity. Anyone below 40% is eliminated instantly. No discussion, no appeals, and definitely no crying. To make sure no one embarrasses themselves later, Lin gives a short lesson on beast cores. Only hound class or higher aberrations can produce them, and the stronger the aberration, the better the core. Socket one into proper armament, and a warrior can use special abilities just like an aberration, which sounds amazing, until one remembers how many people fail at this step. Affinity varies from person to person, and it decides what kind of abilities might awaken, assuming anything awakens at all. The wrist guard used here is the cheapest, weakest version available, designed only to test compatibility and not to grant power. The good stuff comes later, but only for those who survive this stage. With that cheerful explanation out of the way, the test officially begins. Zhang Jin steps up first, clearly eager to reclaim some dignity. The results appear quickly, displaying D rank with a 60% affinity rate. The room reacts instantly, because last year's strongest rookie barely managed 56%, making this score look genuinely impressive. While Yan mentally dismisses the excitement and labels everyone else as background noise. In his world, strength is not a debate. Yang then approaches Yang with the curiosity and remarks his Chishi City background, and admits that someone this strong somehow slipped past her extensive information network, which clearly bothers her more than it should. She connects him to the recent abnormal spike in Crimson Fog concentration back in Chishi City, dropping the implication like a grenade and waiting to see what explodes. Yen plays dumb flawlessly, offering nothing but confusion, which only makes her more interested. Rather than pushing, Ying proposes a deal. If Ying scores higher than her in the test, she will answer any question he wants. Ying immediately accepts internally, because information about Xiaoshu is worth any risk, and also because losing is not something he plans to explore today. When Ying takes the test, the results hit like a hammer. D rank with a 78% affinity rate appears on the screen, shocking the room. Even Zhang Jin's temper flares again, his thoughts turning sharp and ugly as he realizes another rival just leapfrogged him without even breaking a sweat. Finally, Yan steps forward and studies the beast core, noticing its black color, identical to the one he absorbed before. Based on Song's assessment, his warrior rank should be at least C rank, so expectations are high, even for himself. He prepares, determined to win the bet and uncover the truth he needs. The test begins, and the system immediately displays C rank. Then everything freezes. Alarms trigger. A system error flashes across the screen, followed by a recalculation that no one understands. The room holds its breath as the final number appears. The beast core affinity rate reads 0%. Zhang Jin wastes no time celebrating like he personally defeated fate. He mocks Yan hard enough to bruise the air, convinced that even the beast core itself wants nothing to do with him. What Zhang does not realize is that he feels it instantly, a cold and invasive pull, as his body begins absorbing the beast core against his will, like his cells just found a new hobby. Yang freezes in shock, because 0% affinity is not just rare, it is supposed to be impossible. The worst case ever recorded barely scraped 1%, and now the machine has casually dropped a 0 like it means nothing. Her researcher instincts kick in immediately, mentally drafting reports and imagining how excited her old man is going to be. This is the kind of anomaly that makes careers. Zhang Jin, however, notices something far more alarming. The beast core is no longer where it should be. Panic turns into accusation, and the room's attention snaps back to Yan. Lin Yongxin reacts instantly, demanding answers and ordering Yan to raise his hand. The wrist guard is there, but the beast core is gone. Inside, Yan realizes how bad this looks. A missing beast core plus a broken machine is basically a fast pass to becoming a classified experiment. With no time to think, he gambles everything on one explanation. His body responds before anyone else can, as his hand mutates into a monster claw right in front of everyone. That is when things go from awkward to full emergency mode. Personnel react instantly, alarms trigger, and Zhang Jin's thoughts spiral into fear as he wonders if Yan has been infected. Yan, still fully conscious and very much not insane, manages to demonstrate control. He does not lose himself, does not go berserk, and that alone forces everyone to hesitate. Yang realizes the truth almost immediately. This is a transformation ability, a controlled beastification that defies everything currently documented. Lin Yongxin recognizes the significance at once, because reverting back from beastification without losing sanity is practically unheard of. Against all odds, Yang has just hit the genetic lottery. When asked to hand over the beast core, Yang genuinely cannot comply, because it has literally fused with his body and refuses to let go. Zhang Jin watches this unfold, already planning how to report this to the Green Vine group. In his eyes, Yan has transformed from rival to perfect test subject. Yan is quickly transferred to a radiology room, where stunned technicians confirm the impossible. The beast core is not just attached, it has grown into his body, fully integrated with no safe way to remove it. Director Jin Ancheng, Major General and Deputy Director of the Technical Intelligence Bureau, evaluates the scans calmly and declares Yan far too valuable to discard. Secrets like this deserve patience. Another heavyweight arrives soon after, Song Lian, Lieutenant General and Chief of the General Staff. He cuts through the tension and demands answers. Jin and Cheng finally delivers the truth, explaining that he helped design the testing equipment alongside the Green Vine group. The machine did not malfunction. It panicked. Yan's affinity did not register as 0 because it was too high. It exceeded the theoretical maximum. It went past 100% and straight off the charts. The reason for the mess becomes clear inside Yan's own body. His internal crystal core reacts, shifting from black toward red, deepening in color and density. The low-level beast core does not grant a new ability, but it strengthens the crystal core itself. Purity increases, crimson fog storage expands, and absorption efficiency rises. The pattern is undeniable. Yan realizes the terrifying truth. He grows stronger not by attuning, but by plundering. The stronger the aberration he absorbs, the stronger he becomes, with no visible ceiling in sight. At the Special Response Unit's Crimson Blood headquarters, Song stands his ground in front of Song Lian, making it very clear that Yan Hao coming here is her responsibility. She pushes hard, arguing that letting Yan join her squad should not be a problem at all. Song Lian shuts that down immediately, reminding her of rank, discipline, and the fact that she is acting way too emotionally attached to a mere C-rank recruit. Things get personal when Song drops the word father, but even that does not change the outcome. Song Lian reminds her that a soldier's loyalty belongs to the state, not to promises made to individuals. Yan has already been assigned to Lin Yongxin's squad. The decision is final, and any attempt to poach him is not happening. Song swallows the order, returns to her post, and quietly starts planning something else, because giving up has never been her style. Over at the Crimson Blood Barracks Lounge, Yan rushes over with excitement as a newly discovered aberration nest between Hu Chang and Qishi needs to be explored, and Crimson Blood recruits are being sent in. Through some perfectly legal and definitely not biased coordination, she and Yan end up on the same team. Lin Yongxin briefs them shortly after, making it clear that this is a scouting mission meant to assess threat levels, not a heroic charge. Even low-tier nests are dangerous because the Red Mist loves surprises. Yang, completely unfazed, treats this like a field trip and confidently takes charge of data collection, promising solid backup. The team rolls out in military vehicles, and Yang provides a quick rundown on beast nest threat levels, neatly sorted from low to extreme. The current mission targets a low-tier hive-type nest, known for simple outer shells, nightmare-level internal tunnels, and overwhelming numbers of worker bees, supported by fewer but nastier soldier bees. Yan quietly questions why 3 vehicles are necessary for what sounds like an oversized wasp problem, which feels reasonable until reality punches back. As the convoy approaches, movement ahead catches attention. Yan looks out the window and immediately realizes something is very wrong. These bees are massive, far larger than anything normal biology would ever approve of. The vehicles jolt violently as the swarm attacks, forcing everyone to brace. Ying identifies the assault instantly as Iron Bee Stinger Fire, and the situation escalates when it becomes clear that even armored vehicles cannot withstand sustained hits. Lin Yongxin takes decisive action and handles the outer swarm personally, stepping out with perfect timing and zero hesitation. This also happens to be the ideal moment to test Yan's new ability in real combat. Watching from inside, one of the recruits can barely process what he is seeing as Yan's power manifests in a way that defies common sense. Yoing quickly pieces it together, realizing that Yoing's transformation ability does not stop at his body. He can apply it to objects, warping ordinary items into weapons on the fly. Just then, a green liquid slams into Yoing, and he immediately feels his defenses being pierced. Whatever this is, it hits harder than Iron Bee stingers. The real danger becomes clear when the source remains hidden, meaning the team is slowly being dragged into a losing fight. Yoing warns Yoing to stay alert and get to cover while searching for the origin of the attack. Yoing identifies the threat soon after. A Hound-class queen bee is present, and its tail spike carries corrosive venom capable of melting armor below C rank. With no time to argue, Yan takes charge. He leaves the Scout-class workers to the others and goes straight for the queen. Yan supports him with her wind-based ability, clearing paths and disrupting the swarm. Yan finally locates the massive creature, forms a weapon through sheer transformation instinct, and launches a decisive attack. What was supposed to be a simple scouting mission has already turned into a live-fire nightmare, and this is only the beginning. The battlefield takes another sharp turn when the queen bee takes a clean hit and casually ignores it like a mild inconvenience. Ying realizes something is deeply wrong, because a hound-class monster should not shrug off damage like that. The horrifying truth clicks into place almost instantly. The queen is not retreating to survive, it is retreating to evolve. Ying bolts forward, warning Ying not to let it escape, because once it completes evolution into an overlord class, this mission goes from dangerous to catastrophic. Yan collapses to the ground at the worst possible moment, completely drained. His internal reserves hit 0 after burning through Crimson Fog too aggressively, and regret comes a second too late. He knows he should have saved energy for the real threat instead of the warm-up fight. Yan mocks him for suddenly acting weak and tosses him emergency rations anyway. The team quickly shifts into emergency mode. The area is secured just enough to breathe, and a temporary defensive position goes up while the situation gets reported. Yang checks the readings and confirms that crimson fog levels inside the nest remain low enough for entry with protective suits. Waiting for backup is the smart move, but smart moves do not always bring rewards. The queen is injured, time is limited, and completing a mission above their rank comes with massive benefits. Against better judgment, they push forward. Far away at headquarters, chaos brews in quieter rooms. High-level officials argue fiercely over Yan's future, with some factions wanting to develop him into a strategic asset and others itching to strap him to a lab table. Orders come fast when an emergency transmission breaks through, revealing that the nest's threat level has jumped from low to high and that Yan and Ying are already inside. Even so, leadership hesitates for only a moment. Support is dispatched immediately, with Song placed in command. Meanwhile, Lin Yongzi is reassigned to serve directly under Song, a decision that reveals how personally invested certain people have become in this unfolding disaster. Inside the nest, the situation worsens rapidly. Yan knows only he and Yan have proper suits capable of resisting the crimson fog, and even those now feel less reliable. Yan confirms his fear when the queen reappears, fully evolved into an overlord-class mutated iron-armored poison stinger queen. It is massive, heavily armored, and armed with a stinger that looks like it was designed by someone who truly hates humanity. The Scout Class Bs are stronger, faster, and far more aggressive than expected. Crimson fog levels spike far beyond warning thresholds, yet the analyzer stays silent. Ying quickly pieces it together. The suits are compromised, someone tampered with them. There is a mole inside blazing blood, and this mission was never meant to be routine. As the swarm closes in, Yin grabs Ying's hand and pulls her back, forcing a retreat. Just as he runs on empty, the battlefield fills with crimson fog, practically inviting him to absorb it. Still, Yan leads Ying to a concealed, well-ventilated hiding spot and makes sure it can hold. She immediately contacts headquarters, transmitting all data and demanding proper protective gear from reinforcements. Even now, she threatens him in the most Ying way possible, promising to chase him even into hell if he does not return alive. Yan turns back toward the nest alone. For the first time, his strength is not just about survival or growth, it is about protection. The promise he once made to his sister echoes in his mind, steady and unbreakable. This time, he has the power to keep it. With crimson fog thick in the air and monsters closing in, Yan Hao steps forward, fully prepared to face an Overlord-class threat head-on, and this time he has no intention of failing. Yan unleashes his Overlord-class Beetle energy cannon, while fully aware that his remaining red mist energy is only enough for one shot, which is honestly the worst kind of math to do right now. He forces himself to focus, compresses every last drop of power, and releases it in one desperate blast that erupts into a massive crimson explosion known as Crimson Burst Condensation. The battlefield disappears under red mist and shockwaves, and for one hopeful moment, it looks like the problem might finally be solved. Yan watches the drifting red haze and waits, wondering if the gamble paid off. Unfortunately, the universe is not feeling generous today, because more monsters crawl out of the mist, and his confidence immediately evaporates. 3 minutes earlier, Yang discovers that the analyzer has been tampered with and finally manages to fix it, restoring proper red mist concentration control. The relief lasts about half a second before alarms go wild and danger warnings stack up like unpaid bills. The red mist levels spike to double the alert threshold, which is never a good sign unless someone enjoys dying dramatically. Before she can process it, a massive explosion shakes the area outside, and the blast stirs the red mist. At this point, the environment itself is clearly rooting for the monsters. As Ying watches the data and the battlefield feed, she realizes the horrifying truth that the ultra-high red mist concentration is forcing the swarm to evolve at ridiculous speed. Even the weakest Skolets are already upgrading into Hound-class monsters, like they unlocked premium features. Yan dodges an incoming attack just in time, but another monster charges in immediately, because apparently waiting your turn is not a thing in monster culture. Yan quickly realizes the worst part of the situation. The more he fights, the more enemies appear, and each new one is stronger than the last. Even with red mist all around him, his absorption rate cannot keep up with how fast he is burning energy, which is the combat version of running on fumes. A monster spits green fluid at him, and Yan blocks it with his transformed claw, only to realize the venom carries a paralysis effect. Every movement starts to feel heavier, and he knows that at this rate, from Ying's perspective, the situation looks even worse. She notices red mist corrosion marks spreading across Yan's neck, which confirms her fear that his protective suit has also been sabotaged. The readings spike harder and harder, warning that Yan is dangerously close to losing control, and she knows she has to act fast. Ying fires a wind bullet and detonates it, blasting the mist away from Yan in a desperate attempt to stabilize him. Yan suddenly loses his red mist supply entirely, which is like unplugging a phone at 1% during an emergency call. Confused and irritated, he struggles as monsters swarm him again, launching more green fluid attacks. One strike slips past his defenses, and another attack comes from behind, leaving him with no room to dodge and absolutely no time to panic properly. Just as things hit their lowest point, Lin crashes into the fight and saves him at the last second, because dramatic timing is clearly a shared skill in this team. Just then, Sung Rui storms in next, cutting down monsters with clean efficiency and zero hesitation. The mood instantly shifts from hopeless survival to organized chaos, which is a huge upgrade. Yan barely has time to process the backup before the captain takes command, bringing reinforcements straight from HQ. With orders flying and weapons blazing, the unit charges forward and starts wiping out the swarm like a long overdue extermination job. Song immediately takes control of the battlefield, splitting the team with sharp practice commands as Group A pushes forward to superheat the front lines, while Group B lays down mid-range cover fire, turning the area into a very loud and very deadly grill. She orders the lieutenant to fall back with Yan and regroup, which turns out to be excellent advice because a blur of wings tears through the mist at terrifying speed. One officer freezes in complete panic, reconsidering every life choice that led to this moment, while another barely manages a warning before the monster almost takes the lieutenant's head off. Song raises her weapon and fires without hesitation, knowing full well there is no room for mistakes here, and she keeps the lieutenant moving forward without even letting them look back. In her mind, the realization hits hard and fast that this is a Dominator-class wasp, which is absolutely not something anyone wants to meet on a bad day. With no better option left, she unleashes the electromagnetic annihilation, flooding the area with a high-voltage electromagnetic field designed to destroy and paralyze everything caught inside it. The blast slams into the airborne monster, and only then does she recognize the massive size of it, confirming this is the Dominator-class Queen Wasp Ying, warned everyone about. The queen tries to flee upward, but the paralysis kicks in, and Song immediately redirects priorities toward clearing the swarm and rescuing the wounded. Yang watches all of this in silence, finally realizing just how powerful Song really is, because that attack was not subtle in any universe. Lin explains that back in Redstone City, she was not wearing her combat armor or using her main battle equipment. With the front line stabilizing, Yan quietly slips away, choosing survival and strategy over heroics for once, which is character growth. An officer reports that all wounded personnel are secured, and Song orders the complete extermination of the swarm, along with neutralizing the nest, because half measures are how people get eaten. Yan focuses on secretly recharging his red mist energy, knowing that his last blast failed to finish the queen, and that he only gets one more real chance. His energy level climbs close to full when the air suddenly shifts, and Ying's panicked analysis confirms the nightmare scenario. A single monster begins absorbing red mist from the entire nest like a cosmic vacuum cleaner, evolving again when it absolutely should not be able to. The alarms escalate instantly as red mist levels spike to Tier 4, raising the horrifying question of whether this nest was high tier all along. The newly empowered monster roars, summoning a fresh Hound-class swarm from the rear, because things were clearly not chaotic enough yet. Yan makes the call to take on the queen himself, while the others handle the swarm, knowing full well that if this thing survives, nobody walks out alive. He charges forward, aware that raw claws and brute force are not enough this time, and unleashes a scarlet condensing blast that shakes the battlefield once again. For a split second, it looks promising, but the queen counters, proving that pure energy alone cannot finish it. Yan adapts on the fly, targeting the queen's own stinger, and activating Beastification Bind, ripping the weapon free and turning the monster's strength against itself. He channels every remaining drop of red mist into the stinger, driving forward with reckless determination and unleashing a devastating red mist slash that finally tears through the queen in a massive explosion. As the dust settles, Yan spots the Dominator-class beast core and takes it without hesitation, only to be instantly overwhelmed as the energy floods his internal crystal core and refills it in one violent surge. The power is too much, his body gives out, and he collapses unconscious just as the remaining swarm is wiped out. Ewing checks Yan and instantly goes full disaster mode brain, reading the signs like a walking alarm system, with the heart racing, neural signals collapsing, and way too much red mist messing with Yan's head in the worst way possible. The situation is bad enough that losing one's mind is not just a metaphor today. Song reacts fast, authority mode engaged, ordering the mobile med pod to roll out and neural transmission to be blocked before Yan's brain decides to freestyle into destruction. At the Beast-Tide perimeter camp, the mood is tense but controlled. An officer checks on Yan's condition, and Song keeps it professional, reporting that Yan is stable for now, which is military language for please don't ask what happens next. Yan gets reminded that he is in fact the tech officer, meaning all knobs, sliders, and blinking lights are now his responsibility. He adjusts and monitors the med pod as anesthesia kicks in, and the machine hums to life like a very expensive space coffin. Yang knows it though, and mentally groans because this fix is temporary, and Manhwa is the real destination if Yan is going to survive with his sanity intact. Song agrees, because denial is not on today's menu. Inside Yan's mind, things are much louder and much worse. The red mist whispers about surrender and beastification, and for a moment, Yan genuinely wonders if this is how dying feels. His thoughts spiral through apologies meant for his parents, his sister, and everyone he might never see again. Memories hit hard, especially his sister waiting and making him promise to come back safely, which is unfair emotional damage at the worst possible time. His companions appear in his thoughts, mentally shaking him and reminding him that warriors do not quit just because reality gets spicy. Yan claws his way back, deciding that survival is non-negotiable, his sister is not optional, and everyone he cares about still needs protecting. He crushes his darker side but immediately pays the price, realizing that every step toward power feels like tap dancing over an abyss while blindfolded. He cannot open his eyes, cannot move, and his body ignores him completely, which is rude. Back in the real world, the convoy struggles through a sandstorm so thick it might as well be personal. Visibility drops to nothing, driving becomes a gamble, and Lin spots old city ruins 3 clicks ahead like a miracle, wrapped in bad decisions. Song makes the call to head there and orders the rear vehicles to follow, because shelter beats becoming desert decor. Ying scans the area as ordered, checking structure, mist density and heat signatures, while Song prioritizes Yane's protection like HQ personally called her phone. Naturally, this is when arrows start flying, because peace is never allowed. Lin blocks with hardening and snaps into combat mode, shouting contact as everyone dives for cover. Ying recognizes the arrows as venom wasp coated, because of course they are, and a massive rock crashes down, forcing Song to move fast or get flattened. Lin shields Ying from debris, proving once again that teamwork saves lives. The attackers shows up, but Song orders pursuit, because letting hostile mystery people escape never ends well. Glass bottles hit the ground and release Dominator-class beast fluid, filling the air with paralyzing gas that turns limbs into decorative accessories. The attackers push forward, greedy and confident, especially one bald guy who clearly thinks he is the main character today. Song fights back but feels her body locking up, which is an extremely bad development. The attackers notice the metal box being guarded like it owes them money and assume it must be treasure, because subtlety is dead. Yang rushes to protect Yan, only to be stopped when arrows pin her down. Ying checks Yan and instantly goes full disaster mode brain, reading the signs like a walking alarm system, with the heart racing, neural signals collapsing, and way too much red mist messing with Yan's head in the worst way possible. The situation is bad enough that losing one's mind is not just a metaphor today. Song reacts fast, authority mode engaged, ordering the mobile medpod to roll out and neural transmission to be blocked before Yan's brain decides to freestyle into destruction. At the beast-tied perimeter camp, the mood is tense but controlled. An officer checks on Yan's condition, and Song keeps it professional, reporting that Yan is stable for now, which is military language for please don't ask what happens next. Yan gets reminded that he is in fact the tech officer, meaning all knobs, sliders, and blinking lights are now his responsibility. He adjusts and monitors the med pod as anesthesia kicks in, and the machine hums to life like a very expensive space coffin. Yang knows it though, and mentally groans because this fix is temporary, and Manhwa is the real destination if Yan is going to survive with his sanity intact. Song agrees, because denial is not on today's menu. Inside Yan's mind, things are much louder and much worse. The red mist whispers about surrender and beastification, and for a moment, Yan genuinely wonders if this is how dying feels. His thoughts spiral through apologies meant for his parents, his sister, and everyone he might never see again. Memories hit hard, especially his sister waiting and making him promise to come back safely, which is unfair emotional damage at the worst possible time. His companions appear in his thoughts, mentally shaking him and reminding him that warriors do not quit just because reality gets spicy. Yan claws his way back, deciding that survival is non-negotiable, his sister is not optional, and everyone he cares about still needs protecting. He crushes his darker side but immediately pays the price, realizing that every step toward power feels like tap dancing over an abyss while blindfolded. He cannot open his eyes, cannot move, and his body ignores him completely, which is rude. Back in the real world, the convoy struggles through a sandstorm so thick it might as well be personal. Visibility drops to nothing, driving becomes a gamble, and Lin spots old city ruins 3 clicks ahead like a miracle, wrapped in bad decisions. Song makes the call to head there and orders the rear vehicles to follow, because shelter beats becoming desert decor. Ying scans the area as ordered, checking structure, mist density and heat signatures, while Song prioritizes Yane's protection like HQ personally called her phone. Naturally, this is when arrows start flying, because peace is never allowed. Lin blocks with hardening and snaps into combat mode, shouting contact as everyone dives for cover. Ying recognizes the arrows as venom wasp coated, because of course they are, and a massive rock crashes down, forcing Song to move fast or get flattened. Lin shields Ying from debris, proving once again that teamwork saves lives. The attackers shows up, but Song orders pursuit, because letting hostile mystery people escape never ends well. Glass bottles hit the ground and release Dominator-class beast fluid, filling the air with paralyzing gas that turns limbs into decorative accessories. The attackers push forward, greedy and confident, especially one bald guy who clearly thinks he is the main character today. Song fights back but feels her body locking up, which is an extremely bad development. The attackers notice the metal box being guarded like it owes them money and assume it must be treasure, because subtlety is dead. Yang rushes to protect Yan, only to be stopped when arrows pin her down. Song forces herself to stay calm while everything inside her is falling apart. In her head, the guilt stacks up fast. Yan Hao captured, Ying injured, the mission spiraling out of control. She snaps the arrow embedded in Ying's foot, stabilizes the wound, and orders her not to move. From Ying's fragmented explanation, it becomes clear that the raiders were not reacting on instinct. An ambush this clean means leaked movements or inside information, and that realization sits heavy on the team. Lin soon confirms the worst of it. The battlefield is secured, but most raiders escape, while the squad is incapacitated by poison. In other words, the enemy got what they wanted and left a mess behind like smug professionals. Song scans the environment and connects the dots quickly. A violent sandstorm rages above ground, making surface transport impossible, which means Yan could not have been moved openly. Underground is the only option. The abandoned elevator shaft nearby all but waves a red flag in her face, and preliminary scans confirm it leads somewhere deep and unpleasant. Orders go out fast and sharp. The unit reorganizes, objectives lock in, and failure is officially banned from existence. One team secures the exit and protects the wounded, while Song personally leads the descent with the second team, because of course she does. One officer's emotions overriding common sense, driven by loyalty and a debt he cannot ignore. Song resists for exactly half a second before giving in with visible irritation, because this is not the time for speeches about regulations. She allows him to follow on the condition that he stays close and survives, preferably in that order. Far below, the raiders struggle with their prize, a sealed iron coffin that weighs like regret and refuses to open. Tools break, tempers flare, and curiosity slowly turns into paranoia. Whatever is inside must be valuable, because nothing this stubborn ever guards something boring. One man claims there is a way to open it, but it requires going even deeper, into a place everyone else avoids it. Rumors swirl about men disappearing down there, and not even rats lasting long, which somehow makes the idea sound worse. Yan, meanwhile, wakes inside the enemy hideout with unsettling clarity. After losing control earlier, he now feels sharper than ever. His enhanced senses map the underground space, track distant signals, and monitor his own condition, like a built-in status screen. His crystal core has evolved, his fog reserves are solid, and new abilities hum quietly under his skin. The poison gland ability stands out, freshly plundered and suspiciously useful, like a free trial that actually delivers. When the raiders finally reach the lower chamber, Yan makes his move. Poison floods the space in seconds, efficient and merciless, dropping enemies before they can fully process their mistake. The skill performs beautifully, and Yan mentally rates it as excellent crowd control, with bonus points for dramatic timing. One survivor realizes too late that the capture was never accidental, and charges with the confidence of someone deeply committed to making poor life choices. The fight ends quickly, decisively, and without mercy. As silence settles, Yan surveys the chamber and notices piles of damaged aberration skeletons scattered everywhere. This is not a natural graveyard, but a constructed one, a brutal pit where creatures were forced to kill each other for someone else's convenience. He also picks up Song's electromagnetic signal far above, strong, familiar, and moving too fast for someone who claims to be patient. Above him, Song's team pushes through claw-marked corridors, uncovering signs of hidden experiments and secrets best left buried. The tracker briefly confirms Yan directly below them before cutting out, triggering panic and worst-case assumptions about destroyed medical equipment and lost chances. Right on cue, Yan emerges from the shadows, carrying an unconscious guy like an awkward trophy. Lin checks on Yan first, because somehow he keeps being the most stable person after the worst situations. Song immediately wants to know what lies below the ground, and Yan explains that it looks like an abandoned beast-fighting arena, the kind of place built for cruelty and forgotten only after running out of victims. Lin suggests investigating further, but Song shuts that down without hesitation. As the team prepares to leave, the captured guy suddenly attacks in a last burst of panic and bad decision-making. Yan reacts instantly, triggering partial beastification as scale armor spreads over his arm. The attack fails completely, making the guy's effort look more tragic than threatening. While restraining him, Yan notices the guy is showing clear symptoms of crimson fog infection, and not the mild kind that fades with rest. This is already past the early stage and moving into dangerous territory. A search of the guy's belongings reveals an identification card from a patrol unit. Song quickly points out that they are likely brothers. The guy's condition is worsening, and Song orders that he be taken back for treatment and questioning. Yan silently evaluates the infection and realizes that if he absorbs the crimson fog energy inside the guy's body, there may be a chance to save him, assuming time does not run out first. Back at the Hucheng Blazing Blood Barracks, the situation turns tense almost immediately. Song orders Lin to escort Yang to the medical bay, but logistics personnel block Yan and Lin, announcing new quarantine regulations for anyone returning from high-risk crimson fog zones. Yan questions when this rule was even created, only to receive a vague answer involving unnamed superiors. Song steps in and demands to know exactly who issued this order, making it very clear that she is their commanding officer. Before that can settle, Zhang Shi appears and inserts himself into the situation, claiming authority over quarantine safety and insisting Yan comply for the good of the barracks. Song immediately shuts him down, reminding him that he does not command her unit, and ordering everyone to move forward. Zhang Shi turns his attention to the infected guy and refers to him as trash from a patrol team, openly calling for his removal. Yan snaps back, making it clear the guy is a comrade's younger brother, not disposable filth. Zhang Shi ignores this and orders his men to seize the guy anyway, choosing arrogance over common sense. Yan steps in before anyone else can react, activating his poison gland and handling the situation himself. Zhang Shi collapses, realizing too late that he has been poisoned. Yan warns him that personal dislike does not excuse low methods and advises him to back off while he still can. With Zhang Shi humiliated and grounded, Yan calmly tells the newer soldiers to carry him away to rest, predicting a few days in bed instead of anything worse. Song asks what Yan did, and he reassures her that Zhang Shi will recover, just not immediately. At the medical laboratory, Yang reveals her combat suit was deliberately smeared with a slow-acting corrosive agent, designed to fail under high crimson fog exposure. This confirms the worst suspicion: there is a mole, and that mole wanted her dead. Song Lian connects the dots and confirms that Yan was also targeted, likely the primary objective, with Yang caught in the crossfire. Until the truth is uncovered, Yan and Yang are suspended from all field missions. Jin Ancheng warns Song that there are serious problems inside headquarters and asks for reliable protection for Yang and Yan. A few days later, Yan reflects on everything. Just then, an officer approaches with a discovery from the infected guy's belongings. There is a photo, and the girl in it looks exactly like Yan's sister, because apparently things were never going to stay simple. Yan and an officer enter the medical ward to check on the captured guy. The doctor explains that the guy is stable for now but still needs close observation, mainly because the infection was terrifyingly severe when he first arrived, yet somehow calmed down over the past few days like it suddenly remembered to behave. Yan studies a photo found among the guy's belongings. In his head, Yan connects the dots, knowing he personally burned the crimson fog infection out of this guy's body. When Yan questions his sister in the photo, the guy panics and reveals that he saw her 5 or 6 months ago at a refugee settlement center. He spills out that the refugees are gone, including his own brother, who promised to return but never did. Outside the ward, an officer fills in more of the picture. A man named Ashuo was assigned to evacuate those refugees but received another mission mid-transfer and vanished afterward. Yan questions why anyone would pull an evacuation officer off task like that, but the only answer available lies buried in old mission files. Yan makes it clear that this information stays quiet, and the officer finally understands why the guy's infection mysteriously cleared up, realizing Yan's involvement without needing it spelled out. Yan promises the guy help in finding his missing brother, but only in exchange for everything he knows about himself and his sister in the photo. Trust forms awkwardly, like a deal between people who both know they are running out of options. Later, in the base cafeteria, an officer struggles to hide concern as Yan prepares to leave again. His sister has been missing for over half a year, and Yan has reached the point where patience feels like a personal insult. The officer reminds him about Captain Song's warning of a mole inside the military, and admits he was ordered to keep an eye on Yan and report back. Yan remains unmoved, focused entirely on finding his sister. Song arrives at just the right moment, joined by Ying, whose healed leg becomes proof that Blazing Blood medical tech is practically magic with a license. Song quickly shuts down the public conversation and pushes everyone into a private meeting room, before secrets start echoing down the hallways. Inside, surveillance footage comes out, revealing that Ying's movements were already under quiet protection. The explanation follows that with internal chaos brewing, kidnappings are a very real concern, and paranoia is basically standard procedure now. Song reassures Ying that she never planned to stop him, only to help, and asks for some trust in return. Others echo that support, pledging loyalty and special investigative tricks, because apparently everyone here has their own side hustle. Yan finally agrees to explain his next steps, accepting that this mission is no longer his alone. Elsewhere, on the ruined outskirts of Chishi City, Zhang Shi rushes to pass along urgent intel about Yan heading toward the city. The name alone sparks interest from Chief Hong, and the tone shifts from concern to something far more amused and predatory, like someone spotting an overdue target. A few days later, at a checkpoint outside Chishi City, city guards swarm the area with an intensity that feels excessive, even by apocalypse standards. Song notices the heavy defense and finds it unsettling, while Yan casually comments on her personal car, clearly impressed and mildly entertained by her off-duty taste. She explains that military vehicles would attract too much attention, and discretion is the new survival skill. Questions come up about leaving Ying behind at headquarters, but precautions are already in place, including remote support through military communications. Just as everything almost feels under control, an alert hits about an Iron Ridge wolf pack approaching from a kilometer out, and panic spreads fast as civilians realize the guards might abandon them. Yan steps forward without hesitation, ready to charge in, because of course he does. The civilians are screaming for help, and city guards suddenly remembering they are underpaid for this kind of day. Yan steps forward, his monster claw already formed, and tears through the first wave in a blur of violence. The remaining aberrations rush him all at once. In seconds, the battlefield turns quiet again, with shattered monster bodies scattered around him like planned decorations. City guards struggle to process the fact that Yan just erased an entire swarm faster than they could finish panicking. Zhang Shi gets urgent news that the person they were worried about has officially arrived in Chishi City. The officer with Yan cannot even pretend to stay calm, openly impressed and clearly proud, because this is what an Ember Blood warrior looks like when he stops holding back. Song takes control immediately, barking authority in all directions and forcing the city defense soldiers to stop inspections and let civilians into the city. Once things settle, Yan reflects on the security check from earlier, feeling that it was never really about safety. Something about it feels targeted, like a net thrown for a specific fish. Song listens as Yan suspects they were searching for someone in particular, but priorities are clear for now, and the focus shifts back to investigating Ashuo's mission files. Inside Chishi City's defense headquarters, the search quickly turns disturbing. Mission files that should exist simply do not. Familiar names are missing, and even the basic patrol roster has vanished, as if someone scrubbed history clean. Yan grows increasingly tense as every attempt to locate Ashuo's records fails. Song confirms the local database has been wiped completely, leaving no digital trace behind. Just when frustration peaks, Song reaches out to Ying, who has her own creative ways of digging into locked systems, though it will take time. The officer is openly amazed, while Yan remarks that Ying has never been shy about her self-proclaimed genius. A new lead finally emerges when the officer remembers Captain Jia, a veteran from the old government army, and the mentor who helped shape Ashuo. When the patrol team first formed, hope rises briefly, only to crash hard when they arrive at Jia's house and find signs of a violent struggle. The suspicion immediately falls on the city defense team. Old grudges surface, especially since Yan once humiliated their captain, badly enough to make revenge feel personal. Everything suddenly clicks into place, and Yan realizes the inspection, the missing files, and this attack all orbit around him. Right on cue, City Defense Adjutant Li Ben appears, conveniently announcing he has discovered Yan's presence, and requesting help to locate the now missing Captain Jia. The request feels rehearsed, and Song's patience runs thin fast. She agrees to assist but makes it clear Li Ben is coming along, whether he likes it or not. His nervous resistance only makes him look guiltier, and he ends up dragged into the vehicle under threat of very permanent consequences. Out on the city outskirts, Yan questions Li Ben's story, pointing out how strange it is to send a veteran out when aberrations are supposedly swarming the area. Li Ben stumbles through an excuse, blaming Captain Jaya's own request, but his fear keeps leaking through the cracks. When they reach the supposed incident site, Yan immediately notices something wrong. Despite all the warnings, there is no crimson fog, no monster scent, and no signs of recent fighting. Li Ben suddenly decides his job is done and tries to leave, claiming his squad is coming to pick him up. Before anyone can force the truth out of him, lightning tears through the sky. Song identifies the threat emerging from the darkness. A thunder beast is entering the field, and whatever trap was set here is finally ready to close. Panic spikes the moment everyone realizes what just appeared, because an Overlord-class beast does not casually wander into city outskirts unless the universe is feeling especially rude. Yan calmly pieces everything together. The abnormal beast activity, the patrol mission, the wiped records, and this perfectly timed ambush finally align into one ugly picture, confirming none of it was random and all of it was planned. Labing chooses to run and Song reacts instantly, ordering his capture before he disappears forever. Before anyone can grab him, the Thunder Beast begins gathering power, and the air hums with danger as an incoming breath attack charges up like a storm that skipped its warning phase. The battlefield explodes into motion as Yan and Song reposition with perfect timing, narrowly avoiding the blast. dust and smoke roll across the ground, and when visibility returns, it becomes painfully obvious that escape is no longer an option. Song moves to retrieve her weapon, trusting Yan to hold the line, and Yan accepts that responsibility with confidence. High above, two figures observe from a building. Zhangxi watches Yan with open malice, eager to see how tough he looks under real pressure. The other questions whether such a small device can truly control an overlord-class beast. The answer comes quickly, explaining that the technology backing them goes far beyond imagination, including a full beast-taming facility producing monsters that redefine the word problem. The mission is simple and very on-brand for power-hungry people. Capture Yan, hand him over, and claim Chishi City as a prize. Back on the ground, Yan studies the Thunder Beast closely, identifying it as an elemental type that relies heavily on energy attacks. He quickly adapts, planning to use poison glands harvested from the queen bee, betting they will still work even at this level. He leaps in, only to feel his beast form collapse mid-action, forcibly cancelled by a familiar suppression effect. This ability mirrors Song's electromagnetic annihilation shells, which means the beast is not just strong, but also annoyingly sophisticated. Yan stays mobile, refusing to lower his guard, and reassesses the fight. Without its lightning armor, the beast would be manageable, but that crackling shield makes close combat nearly impossible. The solution becomes obvious. Yan signals Song, asking if she can strip the beast of its armor. The answer is yes. Her power comes from the same source as the Thunder Beast, and while she can cancel out its lightning completely, the window will be extremely short. Song unleashes everything she has in a single electromagnetic annihilation shell, and the battlefield flashes as the Thunder Beast's lightning armor collapses. The moment the energy field disappears, Yan charges in, claws tearing through the air as venom follows. The queen bee's poison takes effect almost immediately, slowing the massive creature's movements and finally tipping the balance. Yan presses the advantage relentlessly, striking again and again until the Overlord-class beast begins to falter under the combined assault. As the monster weakens, Yan observes the difference clearly. Its raw attack power surpasses previous Overlord-class enemies, but without lightning, its physical strength is noticeably lacking. Without Song's support, this fight would never have reached this point. The realization fuels Yan's resolve. The Thunder Beast tries to retreat, but Yan refuses to let it leave empty-handed, taunting it as he advances, determined to extract a price for everything it has caused. High above, Zhangxi begin to panic as their weapon of destruction approaches defeat. A man asks what the next move is, clearly not enjoying how fast this plan is collapsing. The response comes, this was never a one-beast operation. Before anyone below can react, a second presence emerges behind Song, radiating danger and confirming the worst possible timing. Another Overlord-class beast enters the battlefield, proving that this trap was designed not to test Yan, but to bury him. The moment Yan senses it, his stomach drops, because realizing there is another one is never good news, especially when the first Overlord class is still very much alive and angry. He reacts instantly, sprinting towards Song, without hesitation, shoving her out of the danger zone. Yan is lifted off his feet as the monster clamps its massive jaws around him like he is an inconvenient snack. Song watches in panic, already imagining the worst, while Yan jams his hands into the creature's mouth and physically holds it apart through, with refusal to die today. The monster roars and flings him aside, finally forcing its jaws open, and Yan crashes into the ground. He gets back up immediately, brushing it off with the kind of confidence that feels half heroic and half reckless, casually remarking that facing two Overlord-class beasts at once is apparently a compliment now. Song checks on him, clearly shaken, while Yan quickly processes what just happened. The second aberration is not just strong but specialized, built for concealment and ambush, the worst possible match for a straight-on brawl. Song identifies it as a rare type that boosts its own invisibility before launching surprise attacks, the kind of enemy that usually requires a full support team and enhanced senses to counter. Naturally, they have neither, because this mission refuses to play fair. The battlefield erupts again as both monsters attack, pressure stacking from all sides. Yan immediately wonders if the Thunder Beast's lightning ability has already recovered, because that would be extremely rude but also very on brand for his luck. Song pushes forward and detonates an electromagnetic bomb, forcing the invisible monster to reveal itself for a split second before vanishing again. Yan struggles to track it, admitting that its concealment is so extreme that even his enhanced senses are barely useful. Song, however, has a workaround. Because the invisible aberration took a hit from her electromagnetic grenade, she can now sense its movement through disturbances in the magnetic field. Suddenly, the fight turns into a strange teamwork exercise. Yan demands the creature's position, making it clear he does not plan to get dragged into a prolonged fight. With precise guidance, Yan pivots at the last possible second as the invisible beast lunges from behind. He catches it mid-attack, forcing its jaws apart again, clearly developing a personal vendetta against monsters that think eating him is a good idea. This time, he does not hesitate. Power surges, claws strike, and one Overlord-class threat drops for good, and Yan barely pauses to acknowledge it, already shifting his focus to the remaining Thunder Beast. The Thunder Beast still stands, lightning crackling ominously around its body, fully recovered and very unimpressed. Yan knows he cannot brute force his way through that armor again. He turns to Song, asking if she can repeat her earlier move, already knowing the answer will hurt. Without her Beast Core armament, her energy reserves are dangerously low, and using the Annihilation Shell again is simply not possible. Song offers another option, one that trades power for speed. She can cover Yan with her remaining energy, forming a thin ionized layer around him that can block a single lightning attack. The catch is brutal. It will only last about 10 seconds, and it will only stop one hit. After that, Yan is completely on his own. Yan accepts immediately. As the ionized layer forms, he locks in mentally, fully aware that this is his one and only chance. Song warns that the Thunder Beast vanishes again, but thanks to the lingering magnetic disturbance, she can still track it. She feeds Yan exact positions in rapid succession. Yan moves on instinct, catching the Thunder Beast as it lunges, forcing its mouth open one final time and killing it. When the dust finally settles, Yan takes a steady breath and studies the battlefield, noticing two glowing cores left behind like very dangerous trophies. One still crackles faintly with lightning, clearly the Thunder Beast's core, while the other glows dim and unstable, belonging to the stealth aberration. Yan counts the effort Song put into this mess, and decides she deserves half the spoils. He turns to her, only to find her collapsed and unconscious. The officer arrives at the same time, dragging a sobbing Li Ben along. Yan checks Song and quickly confirms that she pushed herself far past her limit, leaving her body totally drained but mercifully untouched by crimson fog erosion. Hidden enemies finally show their hand as armed squads reveal themselves and lock on with standard military weapons, which immediately confirms this is not some random ambush. Li Ben panics harder, blurting out everything he knows, blaming Zhang Shi for orchestrating the entire plan, promising wealth and power in exchange for capturing Yan. The betrayal spills out fast and ugly, like a confession nobody bothered to rehearse. Somewhere nearby, Zhang Shi mentally curses his own bad luck, because none of the missiles managed to land properly thanks to the Thunder Beast's earlier lightning, which scrambled the area electromagnetic field and ruined their aim. Yan quickly issues clear instructions to the officer, prioritizing Song's safety above everything else. He orders immediate retreat, full reporting to Yang, and demands that Zhang Shi's actions be escalated directly to Song Lian at the highest level. The attackers panic as Yan advances alone, intercepting every shell fired at him like gravity itself is on his side. Zhang Shi yells for reinforcements, desperate now, knowing Green Vine's people are on the way. Even after defeating two Overlord-class beasts, Yan still moves forward with terrifying strength, forcing everyone to confront the uncomfortable truth that he is not supposed to still be standing. Yan finally reaches Zhang Shi, and the old grudges resurface instantly. Zhang Shi crumbles fast, blaming unseen higher powers, insisting he was pushed into this by people far above his pay grade. Yan does not bother with sympathy. Some lines once crossed cannot be explained away. Before Yan can finish things, a new presence crashes into the battlefield with overwhelming force. Lu Feng of the Green Vine Group arrives like a living disaster, striking Yan with speed that immediately shifts the balance. He mocks Yan's strength, dismisses his accomplishments, and proves his point with a brutal exchange that ends in a massive blast. Yan hits the ground injured, and Lu Feng looks disappointed, as if Yan failed to meet expectations built entirely by rumor. He coldly announces his departure, leaving the cleanup to Zhang Shi. Zhang Shi wastes no time savoring his moment and orders a video call to Captain Jai, forcing him to watch, turning cruelty into performance. Zhang Shi orders Yan taken alive to the beast-taming base, convinced victory is finally secure. As Yan fades in and out of consciousness, dragged away underground, one thought remains clear: Captain Jai is alive, and that means this story is not finished. In the depths of the Green Vine base, Yan begins absorbing the rust-red stealth beast core, triggering a new ability that wraps him in shadow itself. His body enters a stealth state, lasting for 3 minutes, speed increasing, and power condensing into a single guaranteed strike. Yan shatters his restraints and steps out of containment, realizing this hidden facility sits disturbingly close to the same ruins they investigated earlier. Alarms erupt almost instantly as personnel scramble, labeling him as a test subject instead of a person. He slips into shadow before security even finishes panicking. Surveillance feeds die one by one, guards rush in with capture orders and tranquilizer gear, and naturally find an empty room and their own rising blood pressure. While they argue about who is getting fired, Yan moves unseen among them, testing the stealth ability, and quickly realizing it is powerful, but very much on a timer. Deeper inside the base, two handlers complain about the escape, like it is a scheduling inconvenience, rather than a human being breaking free from a nightmare. Yan removes them from the conversation permanently, and reaches Captain Jai, who looks battered but very much alive and still stubborn enough to radiate veteran energy. Jima confirms that Ashuo's disappearance is only a small piece of a much larger rot, explaining how patrol members were quietly reassigned, scattered, and erased under fake missions, never to be heard from again. Jiangxi's obstruction suddenly makes perfect sense, and the scale of the conspiracy becomes impossible to ignore. Yan connects the dots fast. The city defense team alone could never pull this off, which means someone higher, richer, and far more dangerous is pulling the strings. Jiangxi is just a middle manager with delusions of grandeur. Before they can plan further, security finally tracks Yan down, and orders come in that make their priorities crystal clear. Jay is expendable, Yan is not, at least not yet. Yan refuses to retreat, fully aware that getting captured on purpose only matters if he finishes what he came here to do. He checks on Jay and confirms the old captain still has fight left in him. That confidence does not last long for their enemies, because Jiangxi panics and orders the release of reared aberrations. The monster appears and Yan charges forward, clawed hand tearing through aberrations without hesitation, mentally remarking that the two Overlord-class beasts from earlier almost certainly came from this very place. The idea that anyone thought this would stop him feels deeply optimistic. Jiangxi watches from a distance, smugly believing sheer numbers will slow Yan down long enough for him to escape. That belief lasts right up until Yan reaches him anyway. The men around Jiangxi abandon him instantly, detonations rocking the tunnels as the operation collapses in on itself. Jiangxi finally understands he was never a partner, only bait, and his outrage arrives far too late to be useful. Cornered and desperate, Jiangxi tries leverage, threatening Jai's life, only to realize Jai is already free and standing behind Yan, very much unimpressed. Jiangxi breaks, confessing everything he knows, revealing a mysterious figure named Mr. Hong, who ordered Yan's capture in exchange for wealth and power. This facility is only one branch base, focused on rearing aberrations and transferring assets, which somehow makes the situation worse instead of better. Yan pushes for more, uncovering that his movements were monitored closely, though Jiangxi insists the patrol file tampering may have been coincidence rather than foresight. What matters is the final piece. Jiangxi knows where the missing patrol members were sent, and possibly where Mr. Hong himself operates. Self-preservation kicks in hard, and Jiangxi offers to lead the way, clinging to survival like it is still on the table. They descend through a hidden underground passage revealed beneath the ruins, half-collapsed and reeking of something unnatural. Yan stays alert, already planning how to lose Zhang at the right moment or turn stronger enemies against him if needed. Jiangxi, meanwhile, feels the atmosphere change, pressure building in the air, instincts screaming that something powerful lives below. For the first time, the darkness ahead feels heavier than the crimes behind them, and whatever waits deeper underground is clearly not part of the original plan. Inside the Green Vine Crimson Fog storage base, on the outskirts of Chishi City, the investigation is already going badly. Ying finishes checking her side of the area and comes up empty-handed, except for a depressing pile of aberration corpses. Frung has been digging through data, but everything is broken into useless fragments, like a puzzle where half the pieces were eaten by rats. The frustration boils over when Ying points out that Yan somehow disappeared during what was supposed to be a simple file investigation. One of the officers explains that earlier there was a clash with Zhang Shi from the city defense team over Captain Jia's issue, but no one expected him to go far enough to move directly against the special response unit. Yang already reported the situation to Uncle Song the previous night, and judging by his reaction, the anger level probably breaks the ceiling. Lin arrives with Li Ben, dragging him in like a very nervous package delivery. The question of what to do with him hangs in the air, and Song decides he is still useful, since the hideout Li Ben exposed earlier is already empty, and mocking them by existing at all. Song presses for more information about the mysterious mastermind behind everything. Li Ben panics and claims ignorance, insisting Jiangxi never let him get deeply involved, which is exactly what someone deeply involved would say. Yang steps in and reminds Li Ben that she already uncovered several of his Green Vine secrets, and honesty right now might save him from an extremely permanent headache. Under pressure, Li Ben finally cracks and reveals that Zhang Shi often sneaks into the Crimson Fog storage system through the Green Vine group. That name instantly raises alarms, because anything involving stored Crimson Fog automatically falls under the category of absolutely not good. Li Ben insists something is seriously wrong there, and for once no one doubts him. Song decides to move immediately. Lin hesitates and points out that the chief of the general staff ordered his brother to lead a unit to Chishi City to suppress the rebellion, and backup will take some time. Song shuts that idea down fast, clarifying that suppressing a rebellion is not today's priority, ensuring Luji's safety comes first. Li Ben is sent back under escort to rendezvous with Lin, while the rest of the team heads straight for the Crimson Fog storage system. At the storage facility, a guard tries to block their entry with rules and authority, which lasts about half a second. A report reaches Lu Feng that Blazing Blood personnel have arrived, and things escalate immediately. Lu Feng makes a dramatic entrance by attacking Ying, who dodges cleanly and earns his interest. Song steps in to identify the threat, and the answer arrives in the form of heavy blows. Lin jumps in using armament hardening to shield Ying as the fight smashes them into a wall. It quickly becomes clear this opponent is at least B rank, which is never comforting news. Lu Feng overwhelms Song in close combat, exploiting the fact that without aberration, armament, or firearms, close-range fighting is not her strong suit. He mocks Blazing Blood, comparing them unfavorably to a rat from the previous day, which is rude and also oddly specific. Song refuses to back down, questioning how someone like him could ever defeat Yan. Lu Feng charges again, confident and loud, clearly enjoying himself far too much. Just then, Yan crashes into the scene and punches Lu Feng straight into a wall, instantly flipping the power balance. He catches Song mid-fall like this was rehearsed, and Yan immediately complains about missing her turn. Because priorities, Yan lands smoothly, checks on Song, and the fight officially enters its messed up phase for Lu Feng. Ying immediately points out that the reunion hug is lasting a little too long for a battlefield. Lu Feng, still trying to process reality, stares at Yan like a bad dream that refuses to end and wonders how he even ended up here. The answer arrives quickly when Yan makes it clear that an old acquaintance helped guide him in, and right on cue, Ji appears with Zhang Shi restrained at gunpoint, hands tied and dignity completely gone. Lu Feng explodes with rage at the betrayal, because nothing hurts villains more than co-workers with survival instincts. Zhang Shi panics and admits he had no choice. Lu Feng lunges toward him with murder on his mind, but Yan steps in and blocks the attack, making it clear that Zhang Shi is far too valuable to die right now. Insulted and furious, Lu Feng charges Yan head-on, convinced that brute force will solve everything. He unleashes a sonic punch, but Yan shuts it down instantly with a clean counter, hitting him so hard the impact explodes through the air like a small disaster. The anger level spikes even higher, and Lu Feng goes all in, determined to end everything here. He switches tactics and launches a sharp sonic wind blade, which Yan dodges easily, like he has already seen this move in a tutorial. The team quickly realizes this is not just raw strength, but a special ability, and Yan recognizes it immediately as a wind-type power similar to her own. Song presses for answers, and Zhangxi reveals that he does not know Lu Feng's true identity, only that he works under someone named Mr. Hong. Lu Feng keeps attacking faster and harder, but Yan avoids every strike and casually questions whether that is really all a B rank can offer. The insult hits harder than any punch. Yan slams him into the wall, and Lu Feng finally realizes something is very wrong. A terrifying thought crosses his mind that Yan may have intentionally lost to him before, which is not great for morale. Smoke begins to rise as cracks spread, and Zhangxi screams in panic when the crimson fog starts leaking. Song orders Lin to escort the others out, prioritizing containment and safety, while Lin hesitates, clearly worried about leaving her behind. Song brushes it off with confidence, treating the whole thing like a cat playing with a fake mouse. Ying, however, pauses and announces she has an idea, because chaos apparently inspires creativity. Lu Feng laughs it off, convinced they cannot possibly stop him now. In a desperate gamble, Lu Feng swallows a mysterious item, fully aware it will burn through his lifespan, but believing it will keep him sane long enough to absorb the Crimson Fog's power. His speed surges violently, and Yan immediately notices the change, realizing this boost pushes Lu Feng close to A-rank territory. The punches come faster, heavier, and far more dangerous, forcing Yan to block repeatedly as Lu Feng presses the advantage, convinced victory is finally within reach. That confidence lasts exactly until Yan activates her wind barrier technique, layering the battlefield in controlled airflow that shields Yan and boosts his movement. Yan feels his body grow lighter, and for once, teamwork actually works beautifully. Lu Feng unleashes everything at once, even forming a massive crimson fog cannon, convinced this is his ultimate attack. Yan, unimpressed, absorbs the strike head-on, dismantling the so-called absolute power without relying on crimson fog at all. The realization hits Lu Feng like a second defeat. Yan overwhelms him completely, proving that raw control and strength beat borrowed madness every time. With Lu Feng shaken and cornered, Yan demands answers, pressing him for the truth about Mr. Hong. Inside the Green Vine Group's Chuji City headquarters, Mr. Hong watches everything unfold through a screen. Lu Feng's defeat does not anger him. Instead, it sharpens his curiosity about Yan. Hong orders the remaining data erased and prepares to retreat, choosing to abandon the battlefield entirely. He leaves the monster beneath the facility and will finish cleaning up. After all, it has been starving for a long time. Meanwhile, Yan tries to squeeze answers out of the barely conscious Lu Feng. But Ying quickly points out that interrogating someone who has just been turned into a wall decor might be slightly inefficient. Yan brushes it off, casually noting he did not even go all out at the end. He turns his attention to Zhang Shi and confirms that every patrol member was lured into this place under his arrangements. Terrified and obedient, Zhang Shi leads them deeper inside, warning that a password is needed to open the next door. Yan opens it by force, proving once again that passwords are optional if you punch reality hard enough. Inside, Yan checks if everyone is accounted for, but Zhang Shi can only repeat that he was responsible for transport, not details. Yan suddenly senses movement beyond another sealed area and alerts Song. This door, however, is different. For once, brute force is not an option because people are alive on the other side, and breaking it could kill them. Yiging steps up confidently, enjoying a rare moment where punching is not the solution. She bypasses the system using a computer, opening the door cleanly and safely. What waits inside is horrifying. Rows of people lie restrained as test subjects, hooked to life support devices like abandoned experiments. Lin's anger boils over immediately, and the scene makes it painfully clear how deep Greenvine's crimes run. Song confronts Zhang Shi again, but he collapses into useless panic, repeating that he knows nothing beyond deliveries. Jia suddenly spots a Shuo among the captives, and Yan moves instantly to pull him free, only to be stopped by Yang at the last second. The devices keeping these people alive cannot be destroyed without killing them, and brute force would only make things worse. Professional rescue equipment is required. Reluctantly, Yan backs off, and the team prepares to report everything to the technical bureau. A new update arrives immediately confirming that Lin has entered Qishi City. Song orders all personnel to regroup at the Crimson Fog storage base without delay. Before anyone can breathe, one of the strange machines in the chamber begins flashing violently. Ying notices unstable energy readings, and the realization hits hard that the device is releasing power outward. The concentration of Crimson Fog inside is dangerously high. The ground starts shaking, and Ying reacts instantly, pulling Ying away just as an attack crashes through the area. Just then, Lu Feng has undergone full beastification, mutated into a monstrous form after forcibly inhaling Crimson Fog. Song recognizes the symptoms immediately, realizing this is a horrific side effect of reckless exposure. The resemblance to her uncle's condition makes it even worse, adding personal weight to the horror standing in front of them. Yan quickly identifies the device as not just an experiment, it is bait, designed to lure aberrations. And worse, something far more dangerous is responding to the call. If it reaches this place, the entire facility will be torn apart. Yan decides they must draw the creature away immediately. Song joins him without hesitation, ordering the others to stay behind and protect the captives. As they flee, the mutated monster follows them. A helicopter observes from above, and Yan throws the pursuing monster upward. But before it can land, an even larger aberration appears and swallows it whole. Lin rides toward the Crimson Fog storage base with a bad feeling sitting heavy in his chest, because Captain Song does not give vague orders unless something has already gone very wrong. All they know is that there is a hidden research lab under the base, and the rest is a giant question mark wrapped in danger tape. The moment they arrive, that question mark grows teeth. Something massive moves in the fog, the kind of shape that makes even veterans rethink their career choices. Lin understands instantly that this is far beyond what Song and the others can deal with. He steps out already preparing himself, because right now he is the only one wearing a full Beast Core armament. When the environment looks like a monster chewed it up and spat it out, that is usually a sign that subtle plans are officially cancelled. Lin orders the officer to take reinforcements straight to the underground lab while he moves ahead alone. As he advances, the scale of destruction becomes clearer, and the answer forms on its own. This is the Behemoth class, the kind of monster that turns bases into historical footnotes. Song and Yan are already facing it, and the situation is exactly as bad as it sounds. The beast charges, and Yan jumps in with raw aggression, activating beastification and slashing forward. It looks impressive, but the result is disappointing, in the most terrifying way possible, because the attack barely scratches the hide. The monster might as well be wearing plot armor. The realization hits fast. This thing cannot be handled head-on. Not like this. A tactical retreat makes sense, but Yan notices something worse. The beast is focused on him, locked in like a heat-seeking missile with anger issues. If they pull back, the Crimson Fog storage base becomes the next snack, and that means losing everything hidden below it. Yan decides to play bait, holding the monster's attention while the others evacuate the underground lab. Down in the lab, Ying works through the system and finds almost nothing left. Life signs remain, but the deeper research data is wiped clean with professional speed. Whoever did this knows exactly how to disappear information, which is honestly rude at this point. Reinforcements arrive, and Captain Jia is found alive, shaken but standing. Ying is the reason, because of course it is. The problem is that Ying is nowhere in sight when people start asking questions, which is never a comforting sign. Command structure shifts quickly as Tang Ye arrives with orders from headquarters, officially placing instructor Lin Yongxin in overall command, with Tang Ye acting as adjutant. Support is promised, rebellion suppression is mentioned, and the tension spikes even higher. Lin keeps the facility guarded as ordered, but the absence of his brother hangs in the air like static before a storm. Back at the battlefield, Yan pushes himself hard, slipping through shadows and striking the behemoth with poison-laced attacks. It is effective for about half a second, right up until the monster grabs him with its tail like a toy it plans to break. Song intervenes with a mini railgun blast, freeing Yan in a move that screams desperation wrapped in precision. Even then, the cost is obvious. Using special abilities without proper equipment is dangerous, and Yan doing it barehanded is borderline insane, even if it somehow works. The behemoth shifts targets towards Song, because this creature clearly has opinions. Yan rushes back in, refusing to stay down, and then the pressure suddenly changes. Lin arrives and crashes into the fight with overwhelming force, confirming what everyone already suspects. This is Behemoth class, and now it finally has an opponent who can stand toe-to-toe with it. Watching Lin fight makes one thing clear. This is A-rank power in action, and it hits like a freight train with no brakes. Lin openly provokes the monster, basically inviting trouble, and the monster happily accepts. It slams back into the battlefield, kicking up a violent sandstorm in every direction like nature itself decided to rage quit. Visibility drops to 0 and everyone immediately realizes this is about to get messy. Lin warns the team to stay sharp because fighting blind is never a good idea. Yan quickly notices something off, the kind of instinct that only kicks in right before disaster. The monster disappears beneath the ground, which is never a comforting development. Yan alerts everyone just in time, and the team scatters as the creature erupts from underground. After the chaos settles for half a second, Lin checks on everyone's condition. Yan is still standing, which at this point feels less like luck and more like stubbornness. The real problem becomes obvious fast though. If the sandstorm stays, this fight is going to drag on forever, and nobody signed up for an endurance match with a regenerating monster. Ying re-enters dramatically, using wind pressure bullets to blow away the sandstorm. She confirms everyone is alive, which counts as a win so far. Song also shows up, and Lin reports that the underground base is secured thanks to reinforcements brought by Lin Yongxin, and the experiment subjects are already being transferred. That removes one headache, leaving only the giant murderous aberration, which somehow feels like the bigger issue. With no time to waste, Lin decides the best plan is teamwork and aggression, otherwise known as distracting the monster until something works. The creature tries to retreat underground again, apparently realizing this group is more annoying than expected. Lin combines his power with Yingen's Storm Blessing, and the two launch a coordinated attack that looks impressive enough to convince everyone it should be over. Unfortunately, it is not over. The monster keeps moving like nothing happened, because of course it does. Ying immediately realizes the problem, and Lin confirms it. The monster has regeneration, a rare ability that instantly bumps it up, the threat scale from dangerous to absolutely unfair. Lin explains that every aberration's regeneration comes from its beast core, and if the core is destroyed, the monster finally stays down. That plan sounds great in theory, except the core is buried inside a massive living, extremely hostile body. Ying openly questions how anyone is supposed to find a small target inside something that refuses to stop attacking. She keeps firing anyway, cause hesitation gets people flattened. The monster charges again, pushing her close to her limit, and the pressure is clearly rising. Song joins the fight and activates electromagnetic induction. After scanning the creature, she locates the beast core on the left side of the abdomen, where the energy reaction spikes violently. The effort takes a toll on her, and she starts coughing, because heroics always come with a price. Lin immediately orders someone to get her out of danger. With the weakness exposed, Lin launches another powerful attack, locking onto the core. Yelling follows up, refusing to let anyone else steal her moment. The team presses hard, but reality hits again. The monster's defense around the core is absurdly strong, and ordinary attacks barely scratch it. The core remains intact, mocking them. Yun watches everything unfold, and knows a powerful attack is needed, but his Crimson Fog reserves are nearly empty after fighting Lu Feng earlier. A Crimson Fog bullet is impossible right now. Then he notices the monster's body contains highly concentrated crimson fog, likely drawn out by Lin's earlier attack. Ying mentioned this before, and now the pieces connect. It is risky, untested, and borderline insane, which makes it the only option left. Yan commits to the gamble. Just as the monster attacks the officer holding Song, Yan unleashes a crimson supergiant blast. He pours everything into it, channeling the abnormal crimson fog inside the monster itself. The result is a massive explosion that engulfs the battlefield, swallowing the monster in raw power. Yan dreams of his sister running toward him, hugging him tight, and guilt creeping up his spine as he blames himself and wonders why she is even there. Before his hand suddenly burns, the fire racing through his body like it has been waiting for permission all along. Yan wakes up, breathing hard, and the first thing he realizes is that he has no idea where he is. Reality answers quickly, because this place turns out to be the Special Response Unit headquarters, specifically the Blazing Blood Medical Research Institute. He learns that his condition is special, which is a polite way of saying he is a walking problem that needs supervision. On the surface, everything looks calm, and it appears that no emergency handling is required anymore, which Yan agrees because it feels healthier than arguing. Internally, though, his thoughts are less relaxed, since he is painfully aware that the military does not exactly trust someone who keeps surviving things he absolutely should not survive, especially when beast instincts are involved. While lying there, he is already worrying about finding his sister as soon as possible. As Yan gets briefed, he learns that most of the others are fine, with the exception of Song, who apparently pushed herself too hard, because of course she did. The aberration under the Crimson Fog base is gone, courtesy of Yan himself, and everyone who was trapped under the base has been transferred to the Research Institute, which sounds safe but also permanent. When Yan's thoughts turn to Ashuo, the mood shifts, because the situation there is far from ideal. In isolation, Ashuo lies still, carrying a massive amount of concentrated crimson fog inside his body. There is no visible mutation and no obvious infection, which sounds good until the unspoken part arrives, because his consciousness is not coming back anytime soon. Yan feels the weight of that outcome settle in, frustration bubbling up as he mentally curses Zhongxi and wonders just how deep this whole mess really goes. Zhongxi has already confessed, which immediately raises red flags. Every official piece of evidence points to him acting alone, even though common sense is screaming that there is an invisible hand pulling strings from the shadows. Green Vine Group denies everything, claiming ignorance about underground bases, and politely assures everyone that there are no senior executives with the surname Hong. Since Green Vine works closely with the military, investigating them openly is inconvenient, which is a fancy way of saying politics just walked in and sat on the truth. Yan is then pulled into a meeting that feels far too serious for someone who only woke up recently, where it becomes clear that his defeat of a behemoth-class aberration has spread everywhere. Military forces and outside factions are all watching him now, and he is officially standing in the calm center of a very violent storm. It looks peaceful, but the winds are already screaming, and one wrong step could drag him straight into chaos. The higher powers explain that internal conflicts, past mole incidents, and political balance make direct action impossible, especially when it involves Green Vine and the very top of the SU government. In other words, the adults are busy, so Yan is being considered as a convenient solution. The proposal is simple in spirit and dangerous in reality, borrowing his power to move where others cannot, because pawns are useful when kings do not want dirty hands. There is resistance, concern, and the rare voice of blunt logic pointing out that being hunted forever is worse than becoming the hunter. No decision is forced yet, and Yan is given time to think, though everyone knows the direction this is heading. As he leaves, one thought settles clearly in his mind, sharp and steady, because in a world like this, prey does not survive for long, and hunters at least get to choose where they strike. At the Blazing Blood Comprehensive Training Ground, the Chief of the General Staff launches a flashy 3-month multi-party training program, officially meant to strengthen new members. In reality, everyone with a functioning brain can tell it is political duct tape. The training exists to stall internal conflicts, flush out spies, and force the military into speaking with one carefully approved voice. Yan knows almost nothing about the current military situation, which is never comforting, and his real priority is gathering information about his sister as fast as possible. The invitation from the Chief of Staff feels polite on the surface and dangerous underneath, like a smile hiding a knife. Instead of rushing to respond, Yan treats the training program as a convenient shield, buying himself time and reducing attention. The Blazing Blood Point system officially activates 1 month after enlistment. Yan checks his balance and finds himself sitting at a clean 210 points, which conveniently translates to 210,000 alliance coins. He immediately realizes the system quietly bundled rewards from the previous monster incidents into his account, proving once again that near-death experiences do occasionally come with perks. As talk drifts toward the recent monster battle, the mood turns sharp. Zhang Jin's envy practically leaks onto the floor as he downplays the fight and implies certain people survived purely on luck. Song shuts that nonsense down fast, reminding everyone that Yan's strength is very real. Zhang steps in smoothly, playing the role of reasonable mediator while also lighting a fuse. He confirms the points are legit, verified with Lin, but suggests curiosity is natural, and proposes a friendly spar with Yan, complete with a 40,000 alliance coin wager. That amount can upgrade living quarters for an entire year, and suddenly this duel feels very educational. Yan understands Jang Jin will never stop poking him, so he decides this is the perfect moment to establish authority. Winning here means fewer headaches later, especially before dealing with the chief of staff. He accepts because sometimes dominance is the clearest language. Everyone whispers about Tang's reputation as the strongest B rank, armed with rich combat experience and an ice-type beast core. Yan may be impressive, but he is still technically the new kid. Tang opens with a heavy attack, and Yan immediately feels the pressure. The power is brutal, clearly stronger than Lu Feng's, but the speed tells a different story. Yan adapts, dodging cleanly, reading patterns and closing distance with terrifying efficiency, using Monster Claw's flash, and before anyone fully processes what they are seeing, the match ends. Yan wins and Tang concedes without excuses, which somehow makes the victory louder. The crowd stares in disbelief as the strongest B rank falls to a rookie, and doubts evaporate on the spot. Jang Jin, meanwhile, experiences rage and quietly vows to grow stronger through absolutely any method, which is never a reassuring thought. 1 month later, Jin Ancheng meets with Song Lian, who reveals a report from the northwest. A vicious beastman attack occurs, and the trail leads to Suyin town. Analysis confirms the beastman is Song Lian's missing younger brother, Song Zhao. Jin Ancheng explains the odds of a beastman regaining sanity sit below 1%, as beastification corrodes both body and mind. Yan's stability remains a statistical miracle, and even that may not last forever. Song Lian understands the implications and accepts the cost, choosing protection of the many over personal loss, a decision that never stops hurting. Song soon learns the truth and confronts her father. Song Lian shuts her out completely, ordering her to stay behind and stripping her of her mission to protect Yan. Later in the car, she reflects on her past hesitation and refuses to repeat it. This time, she chooses action. She races toward Suyin town with one clear goal, determined to save her uncle. At the base cafeteria, Yan finally enjoys the rare luxury of a proper meal, the kind that makes people suspicious about whether the world is ending tomorrow. The relaxed mood makes one absence stand out, since Captain Song and Lin are nowhere to be seen. The explanation is vague but believable, with Song being away for personal matters and Lin apparently buried under other missions. Yan cannot help but quietly rethink Song's intentions, realizing that her attitude toward her father earlier does not match someone blindly following orders. Yan stands up instantly, alert snapping into place, and the reason becomes clear fast, since as Shuji has finally woken up, any thoughts of finishing dessert disappear immediately, and the group moves without hesitation, because some answers are more important than food, even really good food. At the Blazing Blood Medical Research Institute, the reunion between Ellie and his brother is raw and emotional. Yan brings out the photo he has been carrying like a ticking clock and asks Shuji to focus and remember. Piece by piece, the memory surfaces. On the day the Crimson Fog erupted, a temporary rescue team was formed. Chaos ruled the city center, and death was everywhere. Amid wreckage and infected monsters, they found a girl near a crashed helicopter, physically unharmed but mentally blank, with no memory and no one to claim her. The only option was sending her to a military shelter, where she stayed briefly before 2 officials arrived carrying flawless paperwork stamped with authority from the very top. They took her under the excuse of psychological trauma treatment, clean and official enough to raise no alarms. The trail leads straight to Sujin town. A show remembers escorting her there personally, wanting to see the mission through because she had no one else. After arriving, he received new orders and left, and everything after that dissolves into static and darkness. The information hits Yan hard because Sujin town is no longer just a location. His sister was taken to Sujin town, and Uncle Song-chi has also appeared in that same area. Coincidences stop being coincidences when they stack up this neatly, and whatever secret Sujin town is hiding, it is clearly worth killing, mutating, and silencing for. In the outer mountain area of Sujin town, Song moves alone, quietly tailing suspicious figures. The men reinforce the feeling that something valuable or dangerous is hidden nearby. Vehicles move in and out with far too much caution. Surveillance systems reveal themselves at the worst possible moment, and suddenly the quiet investigation explodes into gunfire and alarms. Song breaks into motion, dodging bullets and returning force with precision, relying only on beast core gloves, which limits her power but not her resolve. The guards panic, shouting warnings and scrambling, clearly not prepared for someone who fights back this hard. A heavyweight steps in, unfazed by her attacks, carrying the confidence of someone who owns this place and knows it. This is not disposable muscle but a true underground boss, solidly B-rank, and strong enough to shrug off her strikes like mild inconveniences. As he closes in and demands answers, the tension spikes sharply, because Song has just confirmed one thing for sure. She has found the heart of the secret, and it is already fighting back. Song realizes fast that her lightning attack barely scratches the boss, which is never a comforting discovery, especially when the boss keeps walking. The situation gets worse when his confidence spikes and his gang closes in, clearly enjoying the idea of overwhelming her with numbers. Song pushes back anyway, forcing her power harder. She charges straight toward the boss, already calculating that his lightning resistance is unusually high. She releases a focused electromagnetic blast that slams him into a tree. That half-second matters, because he admits that without his gear, things might have ended badly for him. Unfortunately for Song, he is wearing a military-grade combat suit, the kind designed to amplify abilities and reduce incoming damage, which explains everything she hates about this fight. Her irritation spikes immediately, because normal underground gangs do not casually walk around in high-end military tech unless something very shady is happening. The boss orders everyone to rush her, which pushes Song into a corner. Using her ability without assistance drains her fast, and the exhaustion creeps in at exactly the worst moment, because timing loves irony. Just as things tilt toward disaster, Yan arrives and casually drops one of the attackers, instantly changing the atmosphere. He checks on Song, while the boss tries to buy loyalty with promises of profit like a discount villain at a bad auction. Yaing joins the fight, revealing another ability user on the field, which visibly rattles the boss. He escalates fast, swinging with brute force and confidence, only to run straight into Yain's counterattack. Yain lifts a finger like he is mildly annoyed by the noise, then unleashes a beastified heavy strike that ends the fight cleanly. The boss goes down hard, proving that special training beats loud arrogance every time, and Yan decides that leaving immediately is the smartest move, because standing around is how bad sequels begin. After the dust settles, Yan connects the dots and realizes Song skipped training and came to Suyin Town alone to investigate something personal. Her lying skills remain impressively stiff, which Yan notices immediately. Yang pushes for clarity, and Song finally explains that the group they fought is just a local underground gang, dangerous but not her real target. Her true reason for being here ties back to her uncle, who was contaminated by crimson fog during a past incident and later vanished. Intelligence points his trail toward this town, pulling her into danger without permission or backup. The situation gets heavier when Song admits her uncle's beastification is far worse than Lu Feng's, making him unstable and extremely dangerous. Guilt drives her forward because she believes his condition is her fault, and protecting him becomes her responsibility no matter the consequences. Her reason for bringing Yan into blazing blood becomes painfully clear, because she hopes his power might help reverse her uncle's condition and bring him back as a human. Yan pieces everything together, realizing this was the unspoken deal from the beginning. He responds with honesty instead of bravado, admitting that while he can handle situations like Aaliyah's, severe beastification is uncharted territory even for him. Still, he commits fully, promising to help no matter how hard it gets, because backing out is not his style. Song's relief is obvious, even if she tries to hide it. The conversation shifts again, when Yan explains why he and Yang came to Suyin Town in the first place. Ashuji has woken up and revealed that Xiaoshu was taken here half a year ago, snapping Yan's focus back to his own mission. Song senses an uneasy overlap between all these events, and she is probably right, because nothing this messy ever stays separate for long. Yan locks onto one truth above all others, fully determined to find his sister, no matter how deep this tangled mess goes. In Suyin Town, things immediately feel wrong when someone starts tracking the group. The man panics and tries to run, but Tang intervenes, attacking him. He urges everyone to follow him before the town decides to add more trouble. It quickly becomes clear that Tang is acting under direct orders from the chief of staff, sent to locate Song's missing uncle, and also to quietly keep her safe, which explains his sudden and perfectly timed appearance. The earlier fighting tips him off that Song is nearby, because explosions and lightning are not exactly stealthy. Tang is alone for now, with the rest of his team stationed at a temporary camp in the mountains, where they have already found traces of beastmen. Unfortunately, an Overlord-class aberration is also active in the area, blocking progress and making the mission much more complicated than anyone would like. His message from the Chief of Staff is very clear, because returning now would soften any disciplinary consequences, and continuing the search should be left to trained professionals who signed up for this kind of nightmare. Song refuses without hesitation, because this is her uncle and not just another report on a clipboard. With a confirmed lead, she has no intention of backing down, especially if there is a chance he could be harmed again. Ying immediately backs her up, because best friends do not abandon each other halfway through dangerous mountain investigations, and she confidently adds that handling aberrations is also something she can help with. Tang gives in, and reveals a deserted path leading inside the mountains, hoping everyone agrees to return once this is over. Yan takes the chance to ask about abandoned buildings in the area, specifically ones resembling research labs, which earns a surprised confirmation from Tang about a strange, empty structure hidden in the mountains. That detail clicks everything into place, explaining why nothing suspicious turned up in town earlier. The real secrets are buried deeper, and now there is no chance of turning back. They soon reach a cave entrance, quiet enough to be unsettling, with no surveillance, no electronics, and no obvious defenses, which is never comforting in situations like this. Yan briefly hands something to Song and sends her back to Jinying's car, revealing a carefully prepared upgrade to her weapon that cost a Thunderbeast core and a small fortune in alliance coins. Ying treats it like a dramatic grand reveal, while Tang reminds everyone to stay alert and continue forward toward the temporary camp. Inside, the energy readings turn chaotic fast, which is usually a polite warning right before things go wrong. A massive snake aberration launches a surprise attack, nearly catching Ying, but Tang reacts in time, taking the hit himself instead. The creature reveals itself as an Overlord-class rattletail python, highly poisonous. Tang is poisoned and weakened, forced into a support role, while Yan steps forward without hesitation, fully prepared to handle the threat alone. The situation escalates again, when even more Overlord-class aberrations appear, including a blazing minotaur and a steel-backed burrowing lizard, which is far more than anyone expected. The appearance of their controller confirms the worst suspicion, because this enemy is capable of commanding aberrations with disturbing efficiency. Tang restrains the snake with his remaining strength, apologizing for dragging everyone into danger, while leaving the rest to Yan and the team. Yan quickly organizes the response, deciding that clearing these obstacles is the only way to search in peace. Song takes on the blazing beast without hesitation, fueled by anger and purpose, while Yan calmly points out that underestimating her in that state is a mistake even seasoned fighters regret. The battlefield locks into motion, and anyone still calling this a 4-against-1 fight clearly has not been paying attention. Song grips the upgraded weapon Yan gave her, and immediately feels the difference. The weight is right, the response is sharp, and the feedback through her hands tells her that this thing means business. When the Overlord-class aberration charges at her, she sidesteps cleanly, avoiding the kind of impact that would normally end a career, then strikes back with confidence that did not exist 10 minutes ago. The weapon lands hard, clean, and effective, and the monster very clearly does not enjoy the experience. At the same time, Yan is locked in a brutal exchange with another aberration, treating its claws like borrowed tools rather than deadly weapons, which is unsettling in the best possible way. He counterattacks with precision while Yan supports from the side, until the enemy reveals an extremely annoying ability that cancels out elemental attacks. The monster lashes out, forcing both Yan and Yang to dodge in sync, because getting hit even once would be a bad life choice. The teamwork clicks like it has been practiced 100 times. Yan charges forward with raw force while Yang unleashes a violent surge of earth energy that twists into a roaring tornado. Their combined attack lands perfectly, shaking the ground and launching the boss clean off the monster, because balance apparently becomes optional at that point. Yan does not waste the opening, closing the distance and delivering a crushing blow that sends the boss flying, conveniently placing him directly in the monster's path. Yan immediately turns back to the real problem, striking the aberration again before it can recover, while Song finishes her own fight nearby. Her final blow lands, and the Overlord-class creature collapses, making the realization hit just as hard as the attack. She has taken down an Overlord-class aberration on her own, which is not something that happens casually, and definitely not something she plans to forget anytime soon. Tang is still holding the line against the remaining monster, refusing to let it break through despite poison and exhaustion dragging him down. He blocks its advance with sheer willpower, buying precious seconds for the others, because sometimes stubbornness is a valid combat strategy. Yan and Song rush in together, coordinating without hesitation, and the three of them strike as one, finally bringing the monster down in a decisive and satisfying finish. Song acknowledges how effective the upgraded weapon is, clearly impressed now that it has saved her life several times in a row. Yan appears quietly pleased, because expensive upgrades are always more enjoyable when they actually work. Song credits Tang for his containment efforts, and makes it clear his performance will not go unnoticed once they return, which is probably the nicest thing anyone can hear while recovering from poison. The boss attempts to escape in the chaos, which almost works until Tang points out how important proper interrogation will be. Yan stops him cold, blade pressed close enough to make honesty suddenly very attractive. Faced with limited time and even more limited options, the boss spills everything he can think of. He reveals the mountain hides a secret mine filled with red crystals packed with energy, unknown to the military and quietly harvested for the black market. The lockdown exists to keep outsiders away while the operation continues, and the mine pit is offered up freely in exchange for survival, because fear makes people very generous. One of Tang's team members confirms strange crystal debris was already found near the camp, validating the story more than the boss probably wants. Yan pushes further, far more interested in how this boss controls aberrations, while Song focuses on the origin of the military-grade combat suit. The boss admits someone powerful has been backing them, supplying equipment and support, though the details remain frustratingly vague. Before he can explain more, the supposedly defeated monster stirs again, reminding everyone that nothing in these mountains ever stays down for long, and Yan steps forward to end the interruption before it becomes another problem. Deep inside the Suin Town mine, a mysterious figure appears, confirming they have arrived at the right location. Before the silence can settle, a young girl appears from the shadows, already questioning who exactly is controlling the aberrations around here and why everyone keeps pretending nothing strange is happening. Back in the Suin Town Valley, chaos almost erupts again when the surviving boss tries one last desperate move, targeting Ying in hopes of escaping during the confusion. Tang intercepts him instantly, reacting with lethal force and ending the threat before it can become a tragedy. Yan and Song continue their coordinated assault on the remaining monster, keeping pressure high until it finally collapses for good. Once the dust settles, Yan turns toward Tang, clearly shocked that the boss was killed before more answers could be forced out. Tang explains it as instinct rather than calculation, admitting his body moved faster than his brain. Yiling points out, very reasonably, that many important questions just died with that man. Song steps in to assess the situation, hearing Tang's reasoning and noting that Yiling is more than capable of avoiding an attack of that level. Tang claims he would rather make a mistake himself than risk even the smallest chance of harm coming to his teammates, because gambling with lives is not something he is willing to do. Song accepts that answer and shifts focus to his injured hand, suggesting they return to the temporary camp for treatment. From a distance, the mysterious girl watches the group carefully, recognizing military personnel immediately. Her gaze lingers on Yan longer than the others, confusion and emotion flickering across her face. Yan suddenly feels something off and looks back, but nothing obvious is there. Hidden once more, the girl clutches her thoughts, unable to shake the feeling that the guy she just saw looks painfully familiar like her brother. Later, Tang confirms that the research lab they previously checked appeared completely abandoned, with no signs of life. Inside the abandoned building, Yan calls out into empty halls while Ying surveys the space, noting the thick dust and decay that suggest no one has lived here for a long time. Outside, Tang leads Song in another direction, acknowledging this split is their only realistic option. During the search, Tang reveals an additional order from the chief of the general staff. Beyond locating Song Zhao, there is authorization to eliminate him outright if the situation exceeds control. However, Tang makes it clear that if suppression is possible, annihilation is unnecessary. Either way, finding him comes first. Back at the valley's temporary camp, the two teams regroup. Tang reports no progress on his end, while Yan reveals they recovered a hard drive and a diary from the lab. Yan is already busy repairing the hard drive because apparently fixing mysterious devices under pressure is just another Tuesday. The diary entries paint a grim picture. An accident on April 30, 2088 describes a landslide that ruptured Crimson Fog storage tanks, infecting countless townspeople. Days later, a so-called purification operation turns out to be a massacre, with survivors secretly captured for beastification research. By mid-May, relocated residents discover red ore capable of absorbing Crimson Fog, leading to secret mining agreements. In early June, frequent mountain disturbances are traced to a behemoth-class aberration attempting to break free, prompting a rushed evacuation and orders to protect one critical subject above all others, referred to only as the Alpha Research Subject. The final question hangs heavy in the air, as Ying announces the hard drive repair is complete and wonders aloud what exactly this Alpha Research Subject truly is, because nothing about this situation feels accidental anymore. Yan, Song, and Ying focus on the recovered data as Ying confirms that only part of the hard drive has been restored, but even that fragment already feels dangerous. The files clearly matter, not just academically, but personally. Yan immediately recognizes one of the profiles as his sister Zhou Shu, which hits far harder than any battlefield injury. Tang checks in, sensing urgency from their voices, and begins scanning through visible files and images with a sharp eye trained for disasters. Yan quickly connects the dots in his head, realizing the diary contains sensitive military information and directly involves his sister, which makes it far too risky to openly share. He carefully limits what Tang sees, presenting the hard drive as the only recoverable item and keeping the deeper implications to himself for now. Song studies the Beastmen data closely, noting how similar their conditions are to what her uncle experienced in the past. Hope quietly surfaces as she wonders if more recovered data could eventually lead to restoring her uncle's sanity instead of merely suppressing his condition. Tong continues browsing and notices his sister appears alongside an aberration, which immediately raises alarms. The creature is identified as Behemoth class, the kind of existence that turns regional safety into a suggestion rather than a rule. The timestamp reveals the photo was taken 3 months ago, recent enough to make everything far worse. Tong analyzes the shadows and sun position, quickly deducing the shooting location as the West Side Valley, then mobilizes his squad to investigate immediately. Once Tang leaves, Yan dives deeper into his sister's file, carefully reviewing body indicators that exceed normal human limits by an uncomfortable margin. What unsettles him most is how different this data looks compared to previous Beastmen records, suggesting his sister is not following known patterns. A name appears in the documentation, Hong Jundong, which triggers an unpleasant realization. Song recalls her father once attempting to investigate a man with the same surname tied to the Green Vine group, an effort that mysteriously led nowhere. If that same figure is involved here, his sister may already be in the hands of Green Vine, which makes everything far more dangerous. With the clues finally starting to align, Yan decides to pursue the behemoth-class aberration directly, convinced his sister's appearance near it is no coincidence. In the West Valley, Tang's squad notices something off about a massive rock wall silhouette, finally realizing the behemoth's form was concealed in plain sight the entire time. Initial readings show weak vital signs consistent with slumber, giving the illusion of safety. As the team approaches, an officer barely has time to react before being attacked, and Tang orders an immediate retreat, recognizing that the beast has been pretending all along. The behemoth does not rush in directly, but instead spreads attacks over a wide area, an unusual choice that confuses the team at first. Ying identifies the real threat quickly, realizing the creature is reshaping the environment itself, turning the valley into a death trap rather than relying on brute force. Ying understands waiting for headquarters is not an option, and pushes forward. Ying points out that the creature is still partially trapped within the mountain and has not fully recovered, making it a fixed target for now. Song seizes the moment, framing it as the perfect test of their training and coordination. The three launch a coordinated attack, striking together with precision and timing that shows how far they have come. The assault forces an opening, and Ying calls for a tactical retreat while the chance still exists. Unfortunately, the behemoth stirs again, its massive form shifting with ominous intent. Tang recognizes the danger immediately, realizing the creature is close to breaking free entirely, while Song can only acknowledge the obvious truth that this situation has officially become a nightmare again.